What's up, heathens? How are y'all doing? I'm the Godless Engineer here, oh shit!
Yeah.
There's a wild force that showed up.
Just when you thought it couldn't get any worse. Surprise.
I thought that I was gonna have to vamp here for a second, but no, you're here, so awesome. What's up, Forrest?
I really hope we don't have to vamp. I just got off of calling it now, and we had like no MAGA callers. We had a couple people call in. One of them wanted to defend the Bible, and he said, "Why do you guys think the Bible's even?" We're like, "Well, is there slavery in it?" And he's like, "Where's there slavery in the Bible?" And we read the verse, and they hung up. And we had one person calling in to say that something about Trump isn't a fascist. Or no, it was that we called Trump a fascist, and he was saying, "Well, Obama and Biden are just as bad." And we're like, "Oh, really? How?" Gone. And then, of course, we had the longest call we had was one person saying that they know Trump is a fascist, but they don't know if he's doing it intentionally or if he's just too stupid and being manipulated. And that was the debate for like 10 minutes. So I'm hoping on this show that we actually get some people who are interested in being in the opposition, who want to have serious conversations about God and about religion and about the Bible and maybe even about MAGA too. If you're out there and you're a believer in the Jesus, if you believe that the Bible is the good book, if you believe that we need to love the Lord the way that you do, if you believe that Donald Trump is not a fascist, rapist, pedophile loser that is leading a cult of worshipers right now, and that MAGA has no morals, no values, no ideals, no principles, nothing to stand on, nothing to call their own, only blind loyalty to their God King, Donald Trump, and hatred for the people that Trump tells them to hate, usually non-white immigrants and trans people. If you think that we are mischaracterizing any of these things, or if you want to take issue with science, if you believe that evolution makes no sense, or that transgenderism doesn't make any sense, or that the Earth is less than, is something around 10,000 years old, or isn't a sphere, or an oblate spheroid at the very least, this is the show for you, 720-619-2288. You've got two science bitches here ready to take your calls and talk to you preferably about religion, semi-preferably about politics and science. Pick up that phone and tell us what you think, and we will take your calls, and we're usually nice. 720-619-2288.
Yeah, so I heard that you not having too many callers over there on calling it now. That really kind of sucks. Y'all did have the one Marcus guy that called in, but it wasn't really exactly a adversarial call. It didn't seem like.
You had a non-adversary. Yeah, that's all it's all. We had a lot of people who got into the screening room, and I saw them pop up for 2 seconds, and they just wanted to say hi. They just wanted to talk about what they liked about what we did. They wanted to, talk about how to, just vamp with us and say, it's like, sorry, man, we are here for fights. So same thing today. If you're calling in and you want to just talk about whatever, if you want to be, shoot the shit with us, if you want to get advice from us, probably not the show for you. We are looking for adversarial calls, or at least I am anyway.
Oh no, I totally am too. I love adversarial calls. Adversarial calls are the shit.
It is our bread and butter, both figuratively and literally, here on this channel. It's what we love.
Yeah. But do you got anything coming up this week there, Forrest?
I do. I've got, find my calendar. I've got This week is just cranking out React Theory. I'm making a video about Frank Turek right now, because everybody told me you'll never be brave enough to make a video about Frank Turek, so I didn't know who that was. I looked it up, and it's going to be a real average, real boring video because his arguments against evolution are dog buns. Then next week, over the weekend, on the 21st, 22nd, and 23rd, I will be in Canada for Baja Con. Lord help me, I'm going to have to put on my hazmat suit so I don't get infected with their socialism. I need to protect myself and stay free. And then the week after that, we're planning a charity event. We're going to be doing a charity thing here in Tulsa where Jovan and I and a few other people will be doing cool stuff. So stay tuned for that. I don't know I do know the exact details, but I have to be careful because we don't have the budget finalized and everything yet. So I got to make sure that I can not say spoilers. But stay tuned because it's going to be really, really cool.
No, yeah. And later on for me this week, I'm having surgery.
Hell yeah. What are you surgerying?
Well, I'm gonna be doing the surgeries on my shoulder. I got some shoulder shit going on. I tore a couple. Yep, shoulder shit. I tore a couple of muscles in my shoulder, and so I've got to get that shit fixed. And
Yeah.
but yeah, so I've got to go under the knife on Tuesday, and then I'm pretty much out of it completely until maybe next week. So
right on. Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that goes well for you, man. You can use that as an excuse to not wear sleeves. You can be like, I got to keep this. I got to let this breathe. Oh, did I lose you? Yep. It's our amazing, incredible system that Jimmy of the Snows set up is glitching once again. But pretty sure I heard everything that John just said. And I think that, John, you should use that as an excuse to not wear sleeves. Tell Jimmy that you need to let your shoulder breathe because you just had it surgeryed all over. And that'll be a way to keep things light and loose and fun. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, can y'all hear me again?
I can hear you.
Okay, good. All right. Sorry about that.
We've got 5 people in the queue, but they are yet to be screened. We got people coming in waiting to be screened right now. So lines are still open. Those folks are going to go through the screening room. Not all of them will probably make it through, but our call screener is taking those calls at that moment. Our call screener today is Luxander, who is also our producer. So they're pulling double duty. So give them time and appreciate the fact that I totally just said duty. But we've got lines open, 720-619-2288 if you want to call in and talk about Jeebus or talk about Donald Trump. This is the show for you. Do we still have the debate banner going on? We're better off without religion. Forrest Valkai noises is one of the things on the cycle. I didn't put that in. God is not great. Oh, good. Convert me to your religion. Religion is anti-science. If we're just doing a super religion show, I'm gonna keep it that way. I'm gonna change, instead of religion is anti-science, though, I'm just gonna say MAGA is anti-American.
I figured you'd go with something like poopy.
Poopy butthole. Okay, that's in there too. We got that. So pick up the phone and call that number, 720-619-2288, and we would love to talk to you about stuff. I can't tell if line number 1 is serious or not.
Placoderm? What is that?
A placoderm is a fish that has like bony plates in its body. They popped up, if I remember right, a little after the Cambrian. But let's find out. Let's talk to William from Texas. He wants to talk about the armored fishes. William, you're on the line with Forrest and John. What's going on?
Forrest, I knew you would know what I was talking about. But before I get to this, I want to ask John, a fellow poker player. John, were you at the World Series of Poker? I didn't see you winning that $10 million.
No, I am not good enough to be at the World Series of Poker. I mean, I'm mediocre at best. I've gotten to the final table on one internet poker tournament, and that's it. I mean, I did end up winning about $2,000, but that was like 2 years ago.
Wow.
Poker, I hardly know her.
I lose all the time. Well, I'm sure you'll be there soon. Okay.
So
maybe
what are we plaquing?
What are we plaquing? In the Solarium and the Ordovician, the placoderm came into being. And my question is, and they developed jaw. And it's the Dunco. What's the name of that arbitfish?
Dunkleosteus is a big famous one. It's the most famous of the gnathostomes, which are, if I remember correctly, it's been a long time since I did ichthyology, but if I remember correctly, the gnathostomes are a subset of the placoderms.
My question to you, Forrest, is what some of the creationists are saying is that a mutation and natural selection are not sufficient enough to cause these bony plates, which, just seem like so radically different than, the being precursor. Or
not really.
Precursor.
Yeah, it's not really that crazy. If I remember, so this is a development question more than anything, and I'm not sure exactly with placoderms. I'm pretty sure those bony plates are osteoderms, meaning they're bones in the skin, which would make them that kind of membranous, bone development, which isn't unheard of. And there's a paper that I read in grad school about the exact same thing with skull bones. If you talk about two different fish having different kinds of skull bones and different numbers of skull bones and different skull bones in different places, it's as like that's basically the same thing as just saying you're talking about two different species of fish, period. Because all sorts of fish have different skull bones in different orders and different organizations. And that's a major problem for evolution because bones are difficult to develop. And so that's this crazy thing that we were arguing about. And I read this paper, if I can try to find it if you'd like, in grad school in a developmental biology class about exactly that, where they were finding it's not like just suddenly there was this mutation for this new bone in this new place that was perfectly suited for whatever. It was just minor changes in development about where the cartilage lines between bones were forming. And if you change the space between the bones just fill in. So it wasn't evolving this new bone. You have this network of cartilage lines that are laying down what the skull is going to look like. A minor modification to that causes a new bone to fill into this new space that you've just created. And it was guided, the encephalization quotient, the way that the skull ended up developing was largely tied specifically to the occipital bone or something like that. That was the groundwork of all. And so you have, really simple mechanism. And of course, I'm probably butchering this paper right now, but basically what we learned is that this is a developmental thing. It's just a minor change to developmental pathways that causes major changes to phenotype down the road. And that's what's really important to remember when you're talking about evolution and development. They are a lot of the times very similar topics. And if you can imagine drawing an angle, right? If you draw an angle and you make those rays go out more and more and more, if you change the angle 1/2 of 1 degree at the base, take those rays out farther and farther, there's going to be a really extreme difference. So the earlier you can change something in development, the more extreme the difference is going to be down the line. So this is one way you can have these major jumps in evolutionary time and in what we would call a sudden, rapid evolution of a thing, minor developmental changes, and really not that crazy. There's a lot more to it than that, but the people who talk about gnathostomes or placoderms as jumps in evolution that are impossible to explain through Darwinian evolution or whatever like that. Number one, they are not thinking about non-neo-Darwinian mechanisms of evolution. They're not talking about all four major mechanisms of evolution. They're not talking about all these other things that go into evolution. All they're talking about is just mutation selection, because that's all they know and all they know how to argue about. And number two, it's the exact same argument as when creationists bring up the Cambrian explosion and say, suddenly there's all these things. And so you're just not thinking about the big picture, and you're just not thinking about how this stuff happens and how it works. And you're making up a scenario that's impossible in order to say that it's impossible. So that's the big thing with all that, if that answers your question. I know I rambled a little bit, but I hope it's the best I can give you.
No, it's very great explanation. So the exoskeletons with the trilobites, for example, and the arthropods developing this exoskeleton, is that a mutation, or what's the thing driving that, or that creates that new body plan? Because we don't have the
Precambrian body plan.
The exoskeleton?
We have Precambrian. Yes, we have Precambrian fossils. We have things that lived before the Cambrian that have a direct line to things in the Cambrian. The big thing about the Cambrian is there's two major things to remember. We're talking about the Cambrian explosion. Actually, three major things to remember. We're talking about the Cambrian explosion. The common creationist talking point, the creationist line that likes to be thrown around, is that the Cambrian explosion was all these new body plans. What they're actually talking about is phyla. So when we talk about taxonomy, a phylum is like one of the biggest groups, major things. So like, for example, a chordate. Like, that's a phylum, things with a spinal cord. Think about how massively diverse that is. If we were talking about body plans, it sounds like we're talking about, like, there's the things with wings and the things with flippers, and there's the elephants and the tigers and all these different body plans. What we're actually talking about here is one new kind of fish. There was these fish, and now there's a slightly different fish. This is now you're defining a new phylum, because it has something that is going to carry forward 500 million years and diversify in an extreme way. We didn't know it at 500. There's no evidence of that at that point. That's something that's going to take hundreds of millions of years to get to. So it's not like there's this deterministic, orthogenic, teleological change in a certain direction that is popping up suddenly, and is not nearly as big of a difference as creationists like to say. So those are the first things. The second thing is, it's important to remember that the one of the major things that developed during the Cambrian is things like skeletons and exoskeletons and stuff. Things that fossilize well is what pops up at this time. We have fossils from before the Cambrian. We don't have a lot of them. Number one, because it's a really fucking long time ago. And number two, because it was harder for things to fossilize. Then we have this period where things that reliably fossilize evolve, and people are shocked that suddenly we have all these new fossils popping up. Well, yeah. All you're seeing is just a representation, a snapshot of the ecological diversity at that time in a new and exciting way. And the third and most important thing to remember, when people talk about the Cambrian as this moment where everything just popped into existence so suddenly, the Cambrian explosion was like 25 million years long. That is longer. Just to put this into context here, right? Our species is about 300,000 years old. Our genus is around 2.6 million years old. 25 million years goes all the way back to the beginning of apes. So if we were to compare the Cambrian explosion to humans, and we were to say suddenly humans popped up, we're talking about a time since when apes first evolved, all the way to today, me talking to you, and you're saying that is the sudden event when humans popped up. That's fucking stupid. So when people talk about the Cambrian explosion as this sudden, violent event where all these new things just happen to, it's 25 million motherfucking years, where one of the hallmarks of it is things that reliably fossilize come into the fossil record, and then the thing that changes is that fish got slightly different. And that's the whole thing. And that's a creationist nightmare. And so they just say what you've probably heard, which is it was this sudden event where all these new body plans come in with no precursors, which is just dumb. That's not what anything is. Does that answer your question, William?
Right. Now, they're going to say, you're familiar with the artifact hypothesis that in Xinjiang, China, they did find soft body tissue fossilized. So they're saying it could be. These soft bodies could be, soft tissues could be, right?
Right. No, we have fossils of soft things from before the Cambrian, and we have soft tissue that has fossilized since the Cambrian. It takes some pretty specific circumstances to happen. The biggest thing that people like to talk about is the T-Rex and all that stuff, and dinosaur bones, because those are really flashy. And they talk about Mary Schweitzer's research where she found soft tissue within dinosaur bones that was, tens of millions of years old and preserved. And then thoroughly explained how that happens with experimentation to back it up, and demonstrated with empirical evidence, which I can summarize for you if you'd like, that this is not that crazy of an event. And while it is very rare, it is by no means inexplicable and absolutely doesn't change anything about evolution or the age of the Earth or anything. And also, I like to tack on the fact that Mary Schweitzer got into paleontology because she was a devout Christian who wanted to disprove evolution and ended up saying, hey, there's no way I can possibly argue against this. This is very obviously what's going on in the world. Became an evolutionary biologist, became a paleontologist, has published this research, has said multiple times how much she fucking hates it when young Earth creationists use her research to try to argue for a young Earth and to argue against evolution, because it is just the dumbest thing that's ever happened, and it sucks ass for them to do that. And also, she is still a devout Christian and accepts that the age is 4.6 million years old, or billion years old, and accepts evolution because she has the evidence to prove it. So, creationists who bring those things up, they are the same lying, grifting, quote mining losers as all the rest of the creationists at things like the Discovery Institute and the Institute for Creation Research and Answers in Genesis. They just misrepresent good science and lie about what real scientists say in order to trick people into believing in magic. That's their whole modus operandi.
Well, you're absolutely right on everything you said about Mary Schweitzer. Because she does resent the YCs, misrepresenting her and so forth. But, of course, should there be there's still heme molecules in these dinosaur bones. Couldn't, it all be gone if it's, the dinosaurs? And couldn't the dinosaurs maybe not died out 65 million years because of this? There is something there, and it was kind of a radical discovery. Could they have maybe died out 30, 40,000 years ago, because we have the cave drawings of dinosaurs?
No, we don't. We have cave drawings of all sorts of neat things like dragons and stuff. We talk cave drawings. I don't know of any dinosaur cave drawings, but we do have paintings, and we have carvings like that one temple in Cambodia that's a carving of a rhinoceros that people say is actually a stegosaurus, and we have some wall art of a swoopy spiral that people say is a brontosaurus, and all these other things that Kyle Butt and whatnot talk about. They're not fucking dinosaurs, and we not only do we have the fossils, we can also date the rocks that the fossils are in. And that's not how that shit works. And then, of course, the Institute for Creation Research points to that one time back in the 90s when they did radiometric dating wrong, and then said that radiometric dating is wrong because they did it wrong, and that means that it's unreliable. And that's just not how thinking works.
Well, no, ICR admitted there was too many daughter elements. They admitted, oh my God, this does seem to indicate, that the Earth is old. But we got to find a solution, because we got to, keep the Bible, relevant and current and true. So what they said was it must be accelerated radiometric dating after the flood. But the only problem is it melts the Earth's crust and boils off the ocean.
But William,
exactly,
William, that's just cope. That's them coping with the fact that their timetable doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. Then that's the thing, man.
Oh,
That's the difference
John.
between science. That's the difference between real science and creation. Is that actual science takes the evidence as it is and comes to a conclusion. Creationism, you have to don't ever trust a scientist that signed a statement of faith before they started doing science, where you have to say, if anything disagrees with the Bible, then I will not accept it as true. And that is exactly what these fucking people do, is they will start the argument by saying the Bible is true, and if I find anything that says the Bible isn't true, then that thing must be rejected or coped with. So, no, there's no way to say that the dinosaurs, and when I say the dinosaurs, I mean the dinosaurs you and I talk about colloquially when we say the word, but there's absolutely no evidence whatsoever, no serious evidence to say that they died out 30,000 years ago. That's just not, it just doesn't exist. It's a bunch of copium from a bunch of people who really, 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 really want an Iron Age sex and slavery manual to be true.
Well, you're absolutely right. And by the way, the Institute for Creation Research is here in Dallas, where I'm at, and Eric Hoven with Create Today Ministries. He took me on a tour of the, building, and we went across the place. Brian, and these guys do have legitimate PhDs in biology or whatever, and they were doing research.
Most of them do. Frank Sherwin doesn't.
Okay. Well, he was doing research on blind. What's the blind things in the deep ocean? The blind fish or whatever.
Talking about cavefish?
Anyway. Cavefish, whatever, yeah. And he goes, that we do research. So, I'll give him that. But, yeah, it's just sad they spent all that money on the radiometric project and then just found exactly what science was saying all along. And it's just like we're studying the book of Job, which talks about the Leviathan and like a cedar, and then they jumped to conclusions. Well, that's describing dinosaurs, and the in their belly it's like brass bones and iron and so forth. And it's like, well, the problem is in Palestine they have cedars that look more like elephant tails than dinosaur tails. Those Lebanon trees are what are in North America. So the problem is the creationists. Any little hint of, like the fresh dinosaur blood, Mary Schweitzer found any little thing that seems to indicate the Bible is true, they just jump all over it. And It's sad. But I go ahead.
Well, that's because the Bible's not true.
Yeah, they really just need it to be true. Right. You're just describing what pseudoscience does. They've got the bad case of Texas sharpshooter fallacy. They, bastardize what real science is to make excuses for a book about how to own slaves and how to rape women. They just, I'm sorry, man, they suck eggs, and I don't know what you wanted out of this call, but that's about it. These people are fucking jokes. Most of them do have legitimate PhDs, except for Frank Sherwin, who's a complete liar who bills himself as a PhD, even though he isn't, and calls himself doctor, even though he has no reason to, and front loads himself into shit to make up for the fact that he graduated from a fucking degree mill, and works for, I think he doesn't work for them anymore. So there's this whole thing with him. Just for those who are curious out there, Pensacola Christian College is the one who gave Frank Sherwin his honorary doctorate in a degree that they don't offer real doctorates in. And he calls himself doctor with that, but only when he needs to legitimize himself. The ICR has different parts on their website where they call him Dr. Sherwin when he's out here giving lectures and shit, or Mr. Sherwin when he's, back in the back and doesn't need that heat. Meanwhile, Pensacola Christian College is accredited by the Transnational Association of Christian Colleges and Schools or something like that. I forgot the exact title. TRACS is the short, the acronym for it. And TRACS was founded in part by founders of the fucking Institute for Creation Research. And then TRACS went on to accredit the Institute for Creation Research graduate school, where the Institute for Creation Research used to have a grad school accredited by the accrediting body that they founded that was giving out master's degrees in science so that they would teach people creationism and then have people go out and say, I have a legitimate science degree from a legitimate education institution that's legitimately accredited, and I can tell you that science isn't real and that creationism is real. And then they got shut down by TACIS a couple of decades ago. And now they're an unaccredited school of ministry. Isn't that fun? And so, like, you can watch my video about Eric Hoven's last fucking terrible movie. Eric Hoven did a tour of the Institute for Creation Research and made a movie all about them. It's his third Night at the Museum movie, and I go into great detail about all of it, and show the whole thing. It is a fucking absolute circus of fraud and bullshit, because these fucking losers can't make it in real science, and they don't have any actual evidence to back up anything they're saying, and so they have to make fake universities and fake data and fake evidence and fake papers in their fake journals. Brian, I think his name is Brian Thomas or Thompson, the guy that you met. Dude, has a ton of publications. Yes, he has a ton of publications in creationist magazines, which were founded by, guess who? Fucking Ken Ham and them. Find their own. They create creationist journals to publish their research in, to say that they're published scientists. And every now and then they'll publish something in a real journal, but it has nothing to do with creationism. It's just some random thing. So they can say, yeah, well, I'm in all these big science circles too. And then I'm going to sit here at this fucking grifting organization and crank out bullshit papers about magic. And they never offer, you'll notice the reason why it's not real fucking science is because they don't have any evidence for creationism. What they have is evidence against evolution, and not even good evidence. They make arguments against evolution because their entire fucking scientific worldview hinges on the false dilemma fallacy. And they say, here's these reasons I don't accept evolution, and if I can put one tiny chip in evolution, then the whole thing must be wrong, and the only other possible explanation is literal biblical creationism. Those aren't the only two options. That's not how thinking works. That's not how logic works. That's not how science works. But that's all they fucking have. And what they can never, and have never, and will never provide is any actual evidence for creation, or better yet, a mechanism for creation. Even if I accept, okay, yeah, God created everything. How? What's the mechanism for it? Show me a test. Do it in a lab. We can do that with evolution. We can recreate things. Can't do that with creation. They don't know how it works. All they know is magic happened, and now we have fucking beavers and animals and trees and shit.
No.
And that's just not working, man.
I'm with you.
This will be our last thing. We've got other callers going on, and I've been rambling for a long time.
I want to get this over quick. Tiktaalik, which tows from the ocean, becomes a tetrapod, but it has flippers and it has eyes that are good for water, but now they're in land. How does it make that transition? The eyes, how do they transition?
From water to land?
Flippers become, yeah.
You're talking about the thing? Yeah, the fish that crawl up on land were sarcopterygians. So they are lobe-finned fishes. They already have more muscle and more, little bony things up in those little fleshy wings that they got, which gives them the advantage to do that. And we were talking about lungs and stuff. Lungs evolved first before swim bladders did. Swim bladders are modified lungs. So developing an invagination that you can use like better than gills, because fish come up to the surface now and gulp fresh air because it's more oxygen dense than water is. So when they have low oxygen content in the water, they will gulp air and shove it over their gills to get an oxygen boost when they need it. They already do that. And we have lungfish and things that come out of the water as fish and live on land for a little while, or encase themselves in mud for hibernation and things like that. We have animals that do these things already. So if you're saying that this evolution can't happen, you already have all of these things that bear intermediate adaptations. And if you just take those, newly developing lungs, we have them now develop the swim bladders that they use today are from those. So you use the lungs to be better fish to go backwards. It makes no sense to say, well, then it can't go in this direction too. And if they have the fleshy limbs to push themselves along, as we see they do, then they can push themselves out of the water to do that. So, like, each one of these things, they take a piece that is completely arbitrary and make it sound way more fantastical than it is. Just like with eyes, just like with feathers, just like with all these other things, we can look across the animal kingdom today and see things that are as good as intermediate adaptations as we can get, that serve a purpose, that work just fine for the individuals that bear them. So they're not like just half a wing or half a lung or half a heart or whatever other thing. They're just intermediate stages that are still around today that help us paint the picture of what the past looked like and are backed up by fossil evidence.
Oh, of course, but
and genetics.
Still, you have these flippers that have to become legs, correct? For a tetrapod,
yeah, but that's just a matter of stretching bones, which isn't a big deal.
Okay. All right. Hey, well, thanks, Forrest. I called it because you got your stuff, obviously, and good luck, John, in your poker career. All right. See you guys. Bye.
All right, man. Take care.
Career.
You get the next one because I just rambled about how much I hate creationists for like a fucking. That's felt like 30 minutes.
Well, so I'm really hoping that Seth puts up my talk at the Ark Encounter protest, because I likened creationism and AIG and all that to coal rolling. Do you know what that is?
No.
No. So basically, rednecks, they'll take a diesel truck and they'll rip the emissions control out, and they'll install a switch where they can switch the emissions control off, and they can just blow black smoke at people from their exhaust. And so, like,
coal rolling. Yeah. Yes, I thought you said cold rolling. Yes, no, I know what coal rolling is. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. I basically drew a connection between that and AIG and all them. And AIG was actually out there and had to listen to me, say all that. I was actually in Ken Ham's little video that he did when I called him out for being child abusers.
Hey.
Yeah. So, all right. Next call, though, that we've got is Kevin calling in. I'm very interested in this one. Hi there, Kevin. You're on the line. What's up?
How's it going, you two? Do you two remember me?
I don't. I'm ordering Indian food right now. I'm getting a little tikka masala and some Rogan Josh going on over here.
Nice. Well, what do you want to talk about, Kevin?
Forrest and you, John. I'm sorry?
Oh, I'm curious. Like, I see what the screener has put in the notes, but I just want to hear you say it from your mouth.
Yeah. I want to talk to you about this topic that I put there, or do I have to say the topic out loud?
Yes. Yeah. I want to hear it in your words.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I want to address why Jesus Christ, who is God's son and God himself, and his angels won't intervene when a mother abuses her daughter to death. I want to address that and explain why he won't intervene.
I have an answer as to why.
Well, first, I want to see if you'll admit something there, Kevin. Would you admit that, do you know who the Punisher is?
No, I haven't.
No, okay. It was a Marvel superhero. I mean, he doesn't have super. Hold on. So he's a Marvel superhero, but he doesn't have superpowers. He's pretty much just an asshole with a military career, and he's very pissed off at the establishment and just abusers and all this other stuff. So he would actively stop the parent from abusing the child. And you're going to come in and you're going to give me an argument as to why Jesus doesn't. And that seems to play into one of the things that I like to point out is that the Punisher is much better, morally speaking, than Jesus. So please go ahead and establish my talking point on this.
Oh, yes. And I was on your own show talking about this topic, but I wanted to finish the topic. So, like, that's why I came here to talk with you and Forrest instead about it, if that's fine.
Yeah, there's no need for all this meta right now. You can just sort of make the argument for why, or just tell us the reason why Jesus would prefer to watch children be tortured to death.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, just want to clarify. Anyway, yes. So the reason why Jesus Christ and his angels won't intervene because Jesus Christ gave that woman free will to not harm her own daughter, which is her own child.
Did you know, I thought it was going to be rude. I was actually going, you're just going to have to take my word on this. I was going to stop you from speaking and say, hold on, wait before you say it. And I was going to write the word free will on a board and make it be my prediction. I was like, fuck it. It's corny and it might not work. But here you are with fucking free will, which is the lamest excuse ever for your God. Do you think that we should just let people have free will and let them... Do you think we're violating people's free will if we intervene when they're hurting their children?
No.
Right. So it wouldn't be that way either if God did it. If they're doing that and God comes down and is like, hey, stop, not violating their free will at all. Just giving them correction. Saving a child.
Frank Castle walking in the door, slapping them silly and being like, if you touch them again, I'll come back again and I'll slap you silly again. And just anytime you even simply think about harming your child, I'm going to show up and slap the shit out of you. Like, that's not affecting free will or anything.
Yeah, but here's the thing, because if Jesus Christ and his angels were to intervene, he would have to punish all of us, including his father, unfortunately.
Oh, wait, hold on. But I mean, we're all going to be punished. We're all going to be punished anyways, right? We're all deserving of the punishment, right?
He'd have to be morally consistent. So instead of being morally consistent, he just has to be immoral entirely. He has to be consistent in his immorality because he can't be consistent in his morality. I gotcha.
He has to destroy the world too with his father. So, I mean, that's another thing. So
sounds like a bitch to me.
Right. So Kevin, what would you're perfectly fine with the idea that, like, let's just say me. Well, we won't use a fictional character. Let's just say me. If I go and I stop a mother from abusing their child to death, would you agree that makes me better than Jesus? Daughter, son, it doesn't matter. Okay, just their child. And I'm very curious as to why you're hyper fixated on the mother torturing the daughter to death when, I mean, it's literally doesn't matter which one it is, whether it's a daughter or a son or anything like that. But would you agree? Would you be perfectly fine with seeing Jesus watch that same child get tortured to death, and you would chastise me for stopping it? Is that the situation here?
No, I wouldn't be fine with it. Definitely not.
No. I mean, you're making the argument right now that you're fine with Jesus preserving this concept of free will at the expense of children being tortured. That's what you're saying right now.
No, but I'm not saying what she's doing to her daughter is okay, though. I'm just saying that she had a free choice to not harm her own child.
No. That's not what I'm
child's
saying.
Free choice.
The child's free choice?
Yeah, to not be harmed. What if the child made a choice that they don't want to be hurt?
I'm not sure how to answer that, to be honest.
So does your God cares more about the free choices of abusers than the desires of the abused? Your God wants to protect abusers and make sure that abusers, rapists, murderers, those people are protected by your God. They get the ability to make free choice and have free will and do whatever the fuck they want. And the oppressed, the abused, the victims, those people are left to the mercy of these abusers. Their free will doesn't matter. They don't want to participate in this. They don't want to be a part of this. They don't want to be hurt. They make the choice not to be. The abuser says, fuck you, I'm doing it anyway. And your God says, you better let him. But later on, I'll probably punish him unless he sucks my dick real good. Then he gets to go to heaven too.
Yeah, but Jesus didn't ask that woman to go abuse her daughter, though.
No, that's not what we're saying.
Neither did her daughter. All I'm saying to you is that you are worshiping a God and making excuses for a God that protects abusers more than victims, protects rapists more than victims, protects murderers more than victims, and values their rights and their safety and their freedom more than their victims. And if those rapists and murderers say, you know what, I'm sorry, I love Jesus now, they get to go to heaven. And if those people who are abused to death, if that child you're talking about, before she died of being abused to death by her mother, said, God damn it, I don't want this to happen, well, then she's blasphemed, she goes to hell. Does that sound like justice to you, Kevin?
No.
Right.
To be honest,
so
no.
You worship someone who is unjust. You worship a God that is unjust, unkind, unthoughtful, unhelpful, not useful, an immoral, amoral monster. Good thing he doesn't exist, right?
I mean, Jesus didn't plan for it to happen, so...
Oh, so he's not all-knowing?
He is all-knowing.
So then he did plan for something that he knew was going to happen.
I mean...
Because that just makes him dumb.
He's just...
If somebody tells me at noon on Friday, I'm going to come to your house and fart in your face, and I don't take precautions, that just makes me dumb. I know it's going to happen ahead of time. It's not even that. That's just a threat, a prediction. It's like the dude has everything on TiVo. He knows everything, past, present, and future. If I watch the fucking Lord of the Rings and I say, I'm going to watch it again now, I've watched it 10,000 times, I'm going to watch it one more time, and this time, if Isildur keeps the ring, I'm going to be really mad. That's just dumb. That's just, he knows what's going to happen. He can't be mad when it happens.
It breaks his heart, devastates him.
He could change. Could he change it? Is he all-powerful? Also, John makes a good point. No, it doesn't. He's clearly into it.
He's into it?
Yes.
What do you mean that he's into it? He's not into it.
Does your God have a divine plan?
Divine plan, yeah, yes.
Does anything happen that does not go according to your God's will? Is there anything that happens in the world that goes against God's will and stops his plan?
That he doesn't want, yes.
Not that he doesn't want, that hinders his plan.
Sorry, ask the question again. So
Does anything ever happen? Does anything that ever happens that hinders or stops God's plan, that goes against his plans?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so I'm more powerful than God. I can do something that stops his plans.
You're powerful than Jesus, his son? I don't think so.
I can stop his plans. You just said that I can do things that hinder and stop his plans. I can stop the will of the almighty creator of the universe. I can do things that he doesn't want and that stop his plans from proceeding.
Yeah, but his son is a spirit. Spirits don't intervene, though. You can't see them, feel them, or even hear them. So that's another
You're
thing.
missing a point. You're missing the point.
Well, of course he is. Hold on. Do you mind if I run something down real quick?
Please, by all means. I've been talking for a minute.
Okay, so
Go ahead.
Kevin, do you think that Jesus is God?
Yes, and the son, both.
Right. The important part here is that Jesus is God. Okay. Now you want to claim that Jesus doesn't that Jesus doesn't command. You've said this a couple of times that you know Jesus has not commanded the mother to torture the child to death. Correct?
No, he hasn't. No.
Oh, okay. So according to Matthew 5:17-19, Jesus says that the Old Testament laws, so the Mosaic laws, are still in place and will not go away until the eschatological end of end times, the time when he comes back, heaven and earth are wiped away and everything like that. So the Mosaic law should still be in effect. Well, in Deuteronomy 21:18-21, Jesus, as God, specifically commands parents to stone the fuck out of their children until death if they are unruly. So how can you sit there and tell me with a serious look on your face that Jesus hasn't asked parents to torture their children to death on occasion?
To be honest with you, I've never even heard that verse. Haven't.
Oh, you haven't read the Bible? This is my surprised face.
I do read the Bible, but not all the Bible, to be honest. I've never even heard of that.
No, you only read the parts that you like. You read the parts where Jesus tells you love your neighbor, and you don't read the parts where he tells you enslave your neighbor.
I don't know if you know this, but there's also in Leviticus 21:9, it says that if a priest's daughter who becomes a whore then must be killed by being burned to death, by being burned at the stake. So like all that you're doing right now is you're just showing that you're ignorant of your own fucking holy text, that you're trying to pawn Jesus off as some benevolent being who values free will, when in reality, he's just a sadomasochist up there watching people torture and kill their children.
I mean, I don't know how else to explain it. I mean,
because it's bullshit. It's no. It's bullshit. You don't have to explain it. It's bullshit. If you go to Judges 11, you've got Jephthah. You know what Jephthah did? Jephthah made a promise to God, who in your eyes is supposed to be omniscient. Okay, he knows everything.
He said he knows everything.
Yeah, he does. In Jephthah, what he does is he makes a pinky promise with God, saying, "Hey God, if you allow me to beat your enemies, then I will sacrifice whatever runs out of my house first to greet me when I get back." Okay, and you know how we know that God takes that up? God, it specifically says the Lord handed his enemies into defeat or whatever, and so the Lord Jesus helps Jephthah defeat his enemies. And then when he gets back home, his daughter is the first one to run out. And you know how he is supposed to dedicate that daughter to the Lord? By killing her and burning her body. A burnt offering. So again, I've given you 3 different scripture references here that show parents at the behest of God specifically torturing and killing their children. Yeah. But you want to tell me that Jesus doesn't ask people to do that?
Yes, but again, that woman had a choice all on her own that she made. So why does he get blamed for that?
That's not the point that we're making, Kevin.
Jephthah had a choice. Jephthah had a choice on what to sacrifice and whether or not to go through with the sacrifice. He chose to sacrifice the first thing that came out of his house. God knew that would be his daughter. God had a choice. He could have not taken that deal. He took the deal, knowing that it would lead to the slaughter of a whole army of people and the sacrifice of Jephthah's daughter. Then Jephthah had another choice. He could have chosen not to go through with the sacrifice. He chose to go through with it anyway. Question to you, John. Is this a moral story? Does this teach a valuable moral lesson? Is this exhibiting godly love and morality?
No, not at all. Like, this is definitely not a morally... Go ahead.
Same question for Kevin. Kevin, is this a moral story?
No, it isn't.
Right. So you would say that the people acting in this story are acting immorally then, right?
Acting immoral? Like, you just, like, the story...
Immoral.
Like, the story you just mentioned?
No, yes, like shitty.
That's the story that the people in the story, Jephthah and God, are acting immorally. Therefore, God is capable, at least, of doing things that are evil, that are immoral, involving children. Like when he tells David and Saul to slaughter every baby amongst the Amalekites. He says, kill every man, woman, infant, suckling child, every single baby, kill them. Those are other people's children then, so maybe that was okay. But at the end of the day...
Forrest,
So like I said, but
Jesus / God / the Lord loves free will, though. Like, I mean,
at the end of the day, sounds an awful lot like it's not free will.
Mind if I ask a question?
Sure.
So you can answer this for me? It's gonna, like... I'll just, like, ask the question and see if that makes sense or not. Even if you two don't believe in, you know, eternity, don't you think it's a good thing if that daughter is with God and his son for eternity in heaven?
No!
Because God and his son are monsters, and I wouldn't let them alone with children. We've seen what they do with children. God is literally a pedophile.
Well, why is it? Maybe you can answer this for me there, Kevin. Why is it that Christians like yourself go to, well, it's just better to be dead? Like, it seems to me like it's a very, like, morbid or maybe macabre sort of view on life. Like, you know, this life means fuck all, right? Is that your opinion there, Kevin? This life means fuck all. Might as well die and go to Jesus. Is that your view here? Because it sounds like a martyr's view. It definitely sounds like the view of suicide bombers or anybody else. Like, I mean, is that your view here? Is that it's better to be dead than alive?
No, I'm not saying that, but, like, what I meant is that this earth is temporary. Heaven is forever.
So, what a nightmare. No, what did I say that's different from what you just communicated?
I'm sorry?
What I said a second ago about how you have a very macabre sort of view of this life, that it just doesn't even fucking matter. This life doesn't matter. How is me saying that different from how you just described it? You repeated it with different words.
I don't know, man.
Because it's not different.
Yes, I was gonna say I would want to break it down. Just like, what? Tell me the exact difference between this life doesn't matter, everything is temporary, versus this world is temporary, heaven is eternal. What's the difference?
Because heaven is never ending. There's no
So you
beginning
just
and no
repeated.
end.
So you just repeated it. So then you could say that this life is temporary, and therefore nothing that happens in this life really functionally matters, except for what does or does not get you into heaven, right?
Jesus matters.
No, we
Does
fucking
Jesus
doesn't.
get you into heaven?
Yes, he's the only way there.
Okay, so then what I just said a second ago, is exactly what you're saying. That this life doesn't matter except for the parts of it that do or do not get you into heaven. Things that get you into heaven or things that prevent you from getting into heaven are the only parts of this life that actually matter, right?
Yes.
Okay, before a person is born, do you believe that fetuses in the womb have souls?
Do I believe that fetus in the soul? I'm sorry. Do I believe that fetus in the what again?
In the womb. Do you believe that before a baby is born, it has a soul?
Trying to answer this in the most proper way. Wait, you're asking if a baby is like in the soul before it's born, right?
If a child is born stillborn, or if they are aborted, do they go to heaven?
Yes.
Okay. So then they have souls. Because otherwise there would be nothing to go to heaven, right? So is it possible for a child before they are born to sin and go to hell? If my wife has an abortion, is there any possible way? No. So every single aborted child has always gone to heaven and always will go to heaven, right?
Yeah, all kids go to heaven.
Great. So then, Kevin, I need you to go stand outside of Planned Parenthood and fight off those fucking losers telling people not to get abortions. You should be the most pro-abortion person in the world because more abortions mean more children go to heaven. And if those children are born, then they're going to have free will, which they will use to sin. And everybody who is born is deserving of hell. And that's why we need to be saved by Jesus. You are preventing them from being in that situation. If you kill them early, you'll go to hell, but you'll take one for the team. Because if you can save thousands, tens of thousands of souls, I think that's a really good thing. That's like Jesus, right? That's martyring yourself. That's sacrificing yourself for the good of humanity. So, Kevin, go fight like hell for abortion legislation, for pro-abortion legislation. Make sure people have the freedom of choice. Make sure more kids get aborted. Get as many abortions as possible. Send those kids to heaven. Thank you very much, Kevin. That's my time tonight. John, if you want to continue this call, you're welcome to. But that's my whole thing.
Yeah. So, Kevin, I mean, we do have another theist queued up here, and so we're thoroughly. Let's sort of recap here at the end. You called in to say that Jesus allows free will, and that's why he likes to sit there and probably fondle himself while he watches mothers torture their children to death.
Like then this.
Yeah, exactly. And then you expose the fact that you have not even read your Bible, even though you're trying to stand 10 toes down on your Bible. I read you the Riot Act on 3 separate occasions in which Jesus specifically, as God, has either accepted a child sacrifice or has implored his user base to kill their children. And so you're not exactly building a very solid argument here for Jesus cares about free will and doesn't ask people to kill children. I didn't even mention this several different times, like in Numbers 31 said, hold on, I'm not done talking. I haven't even mentioned Numbers 31, 17 to 18, where Jesus specifically has child sex trafficking as well as infanticide and just killing children in general. And then there's the 1 Samuel 15:3 that Forrest brought up, where the Amalekite kids were killed directly at God's behest. And that's not even counting the several other times, like when God specifically killed all the kids on earth when he flooded the entire fucking thing. So like, if you want to come up on here and you actually want to make a coherent argument that God, somehow cares about either one, free will, or two, is not ordering the deaths of children, maybe you should take some time and actually read your fucking book and then come with a solid argument. How about that?
I was going to ask one more question, if you don't mind.
Is it a repeat of a previous question?
No. I was just going to.
Okay.
I was just going to say that Jesus shouldn't be getting blamed. The devil should be getting blamed because he's the one causing evil, not Jesus Christ.
Oh my fucking Christ, Kevin! No. I'm sorry. You can't say that kind of stupid shit right now, okay? First of all, Satan is not even in the Old Testament. In the New Testament, the worst thing that you can say is that Satan twerked in front of Jesus and tempted him in the wilderness, right? And that's about it, okay? Satan, or even the position in the Old Testament that's normally labeled as Satan, which it's not actually one particular person, it's just a position in God's court, right? Meaning that he's the adversary. He's supposed to be the anti, person to the anti-position person to God or something like that in God's court. Even if you were to peg that person with it, that particular entity in the Old Testament does not do anything that is not ordered by God or allowed by God. Okay, so you can't sit there and give it to Satan or the devil or anything like that when nothing in your Bible that you have not even read, you barely picked it up. You've read the scriptures that your pastor, preacher or priest has told you to read in Sunday or on Wednesday nights. Okay, those are the only scriptures that you have ever read, and because of that, you are ill-equipped to have this conversation with somebody, either of us, that know the Bible so much better than you. So don't try to put this on the devil or anything like this. Jesus/God has directly commanded these things. It's not the devil. Okay, so Kevin.
Also, even if it was, then the devil's more powerful than God. Even if what you said is true, God doesn't want any of these bad things to happen. The devil did it anyway. So then God either let it happen, so it's God's fucking fault, or the devil is more powerful. Like, that's what's so fucking frustrating about this bullshit narrative that Kevin and people like Kevin give us all the time. If God is all-powerful, he could change anything that he wants. If he's all-knowing, he already knows all these bad things that are going to happen. He could have made the world in such a way that everybody did things the right way, and he didn't have to sacrifice himself to himself, and everybody gets to go to heaven, and everything's okay, and there's free will. He could have come up with a way to do that. He's the most intelligent being in the entire universe. He didn't. And as we established earlier, nothing happens that isn't part of God's plan. We can fight God. We can go against his plan, apparently. That's a new one for me. But God already knows all of these things that are going to happen and did it that way anyway. So, like, it doesn't make any fucking logical sense, Kevin, to say that we can go against God's plan when God already planned that we were going to go against God's plan. Like, that's just fucking weird. At the end of the day, your God is responsible for all of this. And Jesus of fucking Christland, man, if you're gonna care about this book, you should probably fucking read it. By the way, John Martin in the chat, call the fuck in. If you want to talk about why would God command something evil, we'll talk about all the times that he did, and the times when he said himself that all evil comes from him. That's in Isaiah, where he said, I create all good and all evil. Pick up the phone, man, 720-619-2288. We'd love to talk to you.
Yep.
Kevin, you did a bad job.
Yep. If you're going to stand 10 toes down on this, man, you just need to read the book, okay?
Or at least have a better reason for God doing things than he just wanted to let you.
Yeah. And also, Kevin, Kevin, if you want to become educated on the Bible, like on a very deep level, you can go to gebible.app and you can read it. Otherwise, I will I know it's a great resource. I have no stake in it whatsoever. But you can go to it and you can actually learn a lot about it. So I suggest you go do that. Okay, Kevin?
Yeah, well, one more question for us, if you don't mind.
Is it why? What could you possibly offer in this conversation?
I was sorry, for real. I was gonna ask.
The question I asked was why. What could you possibly offer here? You demonstrated that you don't know your religion, and that you have a logically inconsistent God and an immoral God. So what are we talking about now? What's the point of continuing this? Because we have a Muslim on the call that wants to talk about God, and I'd rather talk to him.
I can offer that person will be punished for abusing her child. So
punished by somebody whose sins far outweigh their own? Punished in an immoral way because it's infinite punishment for a finite crime? And also the child is still abused? And also if that person confesses their sins and repents and says they love Jesus, then they're not punished. They get to go to heaven and have eternal bliss? That's not justice. You already said earlier on that your God's judgment system is immoral and unjust. You admitted to that earlier in this call. Why am I going to have more conversation with you?
No idea, but you guys got a show to run, so thanks for having me.
Your God's a piece of shit, Kevin. You should stop worshiping him.
That was great. That was the perfect ending. I was waiting for that.
Fuck that, dude.
I mean, seriously, if you're going to call into the show and you're going to make concrete statements about your particular God, and you've got a requirements document that defines your God, know what it says. Mm-hmm. That's the most frustrating thing.
Our next call is William, Muslim caller, who wants to talk about why not believing, wouldn't believe in that God. I know less about the Muslim God than the Christian God, but I know enough to get by. But this person just says God, so maybe it's not that one. We'll see. William, you're on the line with Forrest and John. How you doing today?
Hey, man. How you guys doing today, man?
I'm doing well. Why'd you change your name, William?
I don't know. I'm just curious. Why was you guys so hard on Kevin?
I'm just curious as to why you're not. I'm just curious to know is why you moved your name and your location. Why aren't you Robert from DC anymore?
Because I'm in Maryland right now.
And you changed your name from Robert to William while you moved from DC to Maryland?
Oh, he's got two families.
Yeah.
Is everybody in Maryland named William or just you?
No, I'm William and I'm Robert William. And I'm in Maryland.
Oh, you're just going with both.
Yeah, I'm just William. At any rate, yeah, I like to just, yeah. At any rate, why are you so hard on Kevin, man?
Because he believes in a monster in the sky and has no good reason to do so.
I mean, just really, why would you just talk to someone like that? And then why do you want to blame God for man's shortcomings?
Because God blames himself for them.
Well, and more specifically, we were correctly. Hold on. More specifically, we were correctly attributing to God commands that He makes in His own book, or one of His books. You know, He's got a lot of them.
Yeah. William was talking the entire time that you were. I don't know if you heard that feedback in the background there, but didn't hear a thing you said. I bet.
No, I was just asking because you seem like you want to blame God for mankind's shortcoming when God gives us everything that we have on this earth. You know, He gives us the life, and this life is nothing but a test, right?
He also I don't know about in the Quran, but in the Bible, He also says that He creates all evil as well, and also He does evil things.
Well, so William, hold on. I need to clarify something. Well, William, I need to clarify something. Can I do that real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. We're not blaming God for the failures of men. We're blaming God for inaction. At least in the last call, we were blaming, at least I was, because what I'm blaming God for is the fact that he's supposed to be omnipotent, right? He's omniscient, and he's supposed to be omnibenevolent in those three respects. God not acting on unjust behavior is an evil act. If let me pose this to you, William. If I'm standing there outside of an alleyway and I see a man about to rape a child, is that if me not acting upon that and stopping that from happening, does that make me a bad person for not stopping it?
Yeah, that makes you a bad person.
Okay, I'm saying the exact thing about God. God is a bad being. He's a horrible, shitty being because he stands there, he watches this shit happen, and even though he can stop it, he can redo shit, like he could do shit where it still accomplishes the whole free will thing, and kids don't get raped, right? Mm-hmm. Both of those things can happen for God because he's omnipotent, he's omniscient. Okay, so if something bad happens, it's because God wanted it or needed it to happen.
So you want to put your free will, your sins on God. Is that what you're saying? That's your analogy.
No,
that's not at all. That's not at all what he just said, and that was very obviously not what he just said, which leads me to believe that you're listening about as well as I said you were listening a minute ago, which is not fucking all.
No, I'm listening. You basically want to say that because men commit crimes and murders and do all these sinful things, that is God's fault, and we should blame God and not believe in God.
Nope, not what he said at all. Do you want us to reiterate?
No, I mean, then you have all those books behind you. So have you not read the Quran?
No, hold on, William. Do I need to? No, William. What I said was, I blame God for his inaction due to the fact that he's supposed to be omnipotent, omniscient, and omnibenevolent. The fact that he refuses to act on obviously unjust things means that he's not omnibenevolent, and more importantly, as you yourself just affirmed, makes him a shithead.
Okay, so I mean, you wanna criticize the person or whatever provides you a life. You want to criticize this life for what other men do in this life. You think that's fair?
Again, not what he said at all. I'll say it again in different words and see if maybe you'll pick up on it this time. He didn't say that God is responsible for the evil things men do. He said God is responsible for his own inaction, not stopping the evil things men do. God could stop these things. I'm still speaking, William. He said God could stop these things in such a way that did not violate anybody's free will and still accomplished whatever divine plan he has. He is all-powerful, all-knowing, and supposedly all-kind and loving. But instead of acting with that power in an intelligent way, he sits back with folded arms and promises to punish people for their evil later unless they suck his dick.
Why you gotta be so, I mean, just like, come on, brother. I mean, we don't have to speak like that.
Speak like what?
Whether you believe in God, whether you believe in God or you don't believe in God, we don't have to disrespect each other's intelligence to the point we want to just be.
I didn't disrespect your intelligence. I didn't disrespect your intelligence. You repeatedly mischaracterized what was being said to you after it was repeatedly said to you. So I just clarified it. If you took that as insulting your intelligence, that's an ego issue, not a me issue.
Man, I'm just talking about in general, as far as, you having fault with God. I mean, it's just the same way we find fault with each other as human beings. This life, like I said, is nothing but a test. And of course, God used
the difference, William.
Those things like
the difference, William, is that I never. William, the difference, William, is that I never claim to be perfect, and I don't demand anybody's worship. I know I have faults. I know I make mistakes. I know I do things wrong sometimes, usually not intentionally. I accept that, and I try to be better every day, and I try to correct mistakes after I make them. Your God has sins that far outweigh anything I could ever dream of, and tells us that he is perfect and demands that you worship him for it.
Yeah, William, you clutched your William, you clutched your pearls really hard over Forrest accurately painting worshiping your God as sucking his dick, or going face down ass up for him. I mean,
True.
Honestly,
that's what prayer is.
Like, yeah, exactly. And I feel like it's more obscene to rape a 9-year-old child. Like, I feel like that's the more obscene thing than just talking about sucking dick.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I'm just like, I don't know why would you speak out your mouth like that as a man? But that's
because
just the same
I
reason,
don't have the same constraints. Because I don't have the same constraints that you do. And as John said, I think that it's a lot better for me to curse. Yeah, okay. Once again, William, it's because I'm not bound by the same bullshit constraints that you are. I have real moral codes and real moral character that I try to live up to, and I care a lot less about cursing than I do about, like, say, for example, marrying a 6-year-old.
You think religion don't teach, you think Christianity and following Jesus doesn't teach good moral codes and moral conduct?
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Oh,
it does not at all.
I know some really great people who follow Jesus, and they're the best people in the world.
So do I.
Say that.
So do I. So do I.
Okay,
they are good people. They are good people. They are good people in spite of their religion, not because of it.
Oh, they're good people in spite of their religion, not because of their religion. No, I know some people.
That is literally what I just said. Yes.
In the name of Jesus. So, I mean, I don't know, brother. It's crazy.
Right, and I know plenty of people who do good things without believing that Jesus is real. And I know a lot of people who do fucking horrible things in the name of Jesus as well. So that's the thing. There is not a single good thing that somebody could do in the name of Jesus that an atheist couldn't do just out of the kindness of their heart. However, there are lots and lots of things, as we have seen throughout history, evil things that people do in the names of Jesus that no atheist would ever do just in the names of nothing, in the name of not Jesus. That's not a thing.
So, brother, who do you stand up for justice? Are you standing up? I mean, are you like against the genocide in Palestine? I mean, do you protest the government?
Damn right
I mean, do you stand up like against ICE and just making people criminal? I mean, like what is
ICE free Palestine?
Yep. I literally started my speech. It was at a convention a week ago, and I started my speech, which was about evolution. It had nothing to do with this at all, but I wanted to make sure that we made a statement. I started my speech with the statement, fuck ICE, trans rights or human rights, free Palestine. So, like, I don't know what to tell you, man. Yes, I do. I do stand up for those things, and I raise a lot of money for those things. Like, that's just what I do all the time.
Yeah, I mean, if you're
by the way, my anti-ICE fundraiser this moment, we raised over $5,470. I'll pop that in the chat if anybody else wants to donate to my campaign for the National Immigration Law Center to help us get people out of ICE custody. I also argue against Trump because I'm against pedophiles. So again, about that whole, marrying a, right, much like that whole marrying a 6-year-old thing, we talked about a couple of times.
Oh, but wait, hold on, Forrest. He waited till she was 9 to fuck her. So, sorry.
That's at least he will. I mean, yeah.
So you can criticize the men. It's just like the same way they talk about Jesus. I mean, if that's what you want to do, that's okay. But Jesus loves you.
Okay.
Well, so William,
Muslims love you.
William, no.
The Muslim, I love Jesus like a brother.
Why are you saying Jesus loves us? Hold on, William. Why are you saying Jesus loves us when, as a Muslim, you only think that he was a prophet? Like,
what does it have to do with me loving Jesus like a brother and what you should love Jesus?
Yeah,
What does that
fuck
have to do
that.
with you loving
Because
Jesus, brother?
No.
I would, William,
Why
I
you
am
say
just
I
fine.
love you?
William, I am just fine without the sick mockery of love that Jesus offers.
You don't think
The
love of
love that
Jesus in your heart? You don't
the
think
love
loving
that
people
you're
with the love of Jesus is okay?
I don't love people with the love of Jesus. I love people with actual real love, not bullshit conditional slave love.
Well, try the love of Allah then, brother. Try that.
Yeah,
Read the
fuck
Quran
that.
and think about
Fuck that as
loving
well.
Allah.
Because as
Okay,
as we
well,
have been talking about this whole time, Islam is
if you
the
want
same fucking thing as Christianity. We're still speaking,
have you
William.
read the
Islam is
Quran?
the
Are
same
you,
thing as Christianity. It has the same problems and the same hang-ups. One's just about a magical carpenter from Palestine, and one's about a magical pedophile from Mecca. There's no fucking difference.
You read the Bible, you read the Quran, so you're not informing your opinion out of ignorance, right? You're using your
I have
intelligence
not.
to form your opinion, right?
Just to be clear, you don't have. I don't know why you would ask a question and then start talking immediately as I'm trying to answer you. I don't need. I'm just. Those things aren't even necessary to just go through the basic logic of what we're telling you.
So you say you don't need
yes,
to read.
I have read the Bible,
but you never read the
yes,
Quran.
I have read the Bible, but also I've never read all of the Quran. I've read some bits and pieces, but it's not as common around where I'm from, so it's not as interesting. And yet,
so why don't you say I haven't read the Quran, brother? That's
I'm gonna keep speaking. I'm gonna keep speaking, whether if it fucking kills you, I'm gonna finish the sentence that I was in the middle of. And yet, even without reading the Quran, I can talk to people who have and ask them questions about their faith, and I come up with the exact same problems that I do with Christianity, because you are still talking about an all-knowing, all-powerful God who is supposedly all-loving and supposedly has a good plan for the world and supposedly is in control of everything and is still massively fucking up. And also, by the way, your prophet is a pedophile. In Christianity, the God himself is a pedophile. In Islam, they switch it over to Muhammad instead of God himself doing it. Because Christianity, God raped a 14-year-old to give birth to himself, to sacrifice to himself. You guys don't believe that Jesus was the son of God. You believe he's just a prophet. But then you have Muhammad, who had sex with a 9-year-old after marrying her at age 6. So, at the end of the day, man, I don't have to read the fucking thing in order to get the information that I'm getting from people who believe it. And for me to have the exact same problems with it. This love is conditional. It is not actual real love. And it is being given by somebody who couldn't fucking identify love if it kicked him in the face.
I would only say to you, brother, if there is a God, for you to actually read the Quran, because some people would say it's like a living miracle.
So William.
Yeah, fuck
William,
that.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I muted William real quick. I just want to say that while neither Forrest or I have read the Quran from front to back, we have read enough of the Quran to know that the same shitty things that are in the other Abrahamic faiths, like in Judaism as well as Christianity, they're also present in the Quran. So it's like it would just be reading the same shit in a different century, right? And so we don't have to read all of it to know, like the war bride law that's in Deuteronomy 21 is a similar law is in the Quran and other writings associated with the Islamic faith. So and on their end over there, like they're still adhering to some of the worst parts of the Abrahamic religions that maybe Christianity has moved past a little bit, in that you've only got crazy assholes like Steven Anderson out there in Arizona that are trying to adhere to the same kind of laws that are practiced by the fundamentalist sect of Islam. But we don't have to read the entire thing in order to know that it's just a giant pile of shit that's abusive and it's horrible, and it contains not Iron Age, sorry, it just really old barbaric, that's the word I was looking for, barbaric laws that cause people, otherwise good people, indoctrinates them into doing bad shit. So like Yeah, I just am not. I'm gonna unmute you, but I'm not impressed with it, and I'm not gonna spend valuable time, going through that horrible piece of shit book.
And for every person who tells me that the Quran is a living miracle, they tell me the same thing about the fucking Bible, and they're wrong about that too.
You're saying that you're not going to read something and form your opinion out. You're going to form your opinion out of ignorance.
No.
And make.
We're not gonna. No, I specifically am not going to spend the time. No, I said specifically. Jesus Christ, William, do you not hear me talking?
You're really bad at listening. You're really bad at listening, William. This is the second time that John has clearly articulated his point, and you've come back and said, "Oh, so you're just saying," and then you say something fucking stupid that nobody said. Like, that's the second time that's happened. When John asked you about, talked about taking responsibility, when John talked to you about taking responsibility and why we blame God for his own actions, and you came back and said, "Oh, so you're just blaming God for what other people do?" No, that's not what he said. And he clarified 3 different fucking times, and you still did it. And now here he is saying, "Hey man, we can see what people who believe in this book do, and we can see what they say, and the parts of the book that we have read are no better than the Bible, and so we can talk to Muslims and listen to what they believe, and then we can use that to interpret what we're going to feel about." And you come back with, "So you're just going to form out of ignorance, you're not even going to read it, you're just going to make an ignorant opinion." No, that's the exact opposite of what we just told you. You're really bad at listening, and that's probably why you believe the stupid shit that you do.
Yeah, totally. Now, before I unmute you, William, I want to clarify yet again.
Aww. My wife brought me a platter of Indian food. Oh, what a sweet lady.
Yummy. William, what essentially for me, I don't have to read your entire book in order to discard it, because it's already got things in it that I am just not willing to bend on. Like, they are well past the line of acceptable, right? And that would be things like raping war brides into marriage. It would be things like raping 9-year-old girls. It would be things like the wanton slaughter of whole groups of people. Like, all of those things. I have educated myself on, well, what's the worst thing that's in this book? And I've seen that. And I've been able to discard it, because those are things that are like huge red flags that I'm not going to bend my own moral sense for. And so I don't have to read the rest of the book, because there's no amount of like good shit that you could give me that would make me turn a blind eye to the horrible shit that's in your book. Which at this point, I don't even know if it's your book. I really don't even know which version of the Abrahamic faith you really partake in. But whatever version of the book it is, it's way past. It's beyond the pale for me. You're unmuted now.
Let's see how he misinterprets that.
I'm just trying to understand one thing, guys. I see a lot of books behind you guys, and I'm just trying to understand, what one of those books have you read and only read partial of it and decided to form an opinion about what's written in the book? Because the Lord teaches us.
Let me answer your question with another question. Let me answer your question with another question, William. Let me answer your question with another question, William.
When reading guides you to all truth. Go ahead.
I'm going to continue answering your question whether you like it or not. So here's the question to answer your question. Think of the best book in the world, a book that you want to live by, like the Quran, for example, or the Bible, right? If there was a perfect book that said nothing but good things front to back, but right in the middle, there was one part where it gave explicit instructions on how to own slaves, and it said owning slaves is a thing that you're allowed to do, and here's how to do it. Would you give a fuck about the rest of the book and think, well, I got to read this whole thing and really take in all the information I can? Or would you say, hey, this is enough to say this book isn't worth my time. It might have some good stuff in it, but at the end of the day, I can get better information elsewhere. What do you think?
So if I was living in a time in human history where
you're living right now. You're living right now.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm talking about doing like the sub-Saharan slave trade and when
I didn't ask about that. I asked about you, William. If you today, right now, were given a holy book, and it doesn't matter what's in the rest of it, one part of it tells you how to own slaves and says you can do it. Are you going to let that part go and say, well, this is still a perfect book? Or are you going to say, this is all I need to know about this book, fuck this book? What's it going to be, William?
I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure what book you're talking about, because I do know in the Quran
it's literally just a... Do you know what a hypothetical is?
Forgiveness from the Lord is the freeing of a slave. So that's what Islam teaches you. The best way to find forgiveness is the freeing of a slave.
William, what was the last thing you ate today?
Cereal with blueberries.
When? When did you eat it?
I don't know, about 4 or 5 hours ago.
If you didn't eat that cereal with blueberries 4 or 5 hours ago, how would you feel right now?
I might be hungry. I don't know. I mean, I'm a little hungry.
You would
now.
be. Yes, you would be hungrier than you are right now. So you notice in that scenario there, did you notice that in that scenario there, I didn't accuse you of not eating cereal. I gave you a hypothetical situation, and we were able to come up with an answer to it. So now we're going to do the same thing with the scenario that I offered you earlier. If you were to read a book that is perfect in every way and teaches you all sorts of moral lessons, but one part of it tells you to keep and own slaves, is that enough for you to say, I don't like this book, and there may be some good things in it, but I'm not going to trust this book, and I'm certainly not going to call this book perfect?
I mean, that can be, you have to take things in content and in time and places. Because
Jesus Christ, you're a fucking coward.
No, you're not.
What a fucking coward.
Someone to not, you want
literally can't even just say, I wouldn't trust it. What exactly is the context? What exactly is the context that makes it okay to say slavery is okay? What exactly is it, William? What's the context?
I can't say the slavery is okay when I just told you the best way to find forgiveness in Islam is the freeing of a slave. So why would you think if the Lord tells you He know that you're going to enslave, He know that you're going to commit these crimes against each other, and He's telling you the best way to find forgiveness from these crimes that you're committing each other is not to do these things. But if you are engaged in these things, you're supposed to have like the Irish people that came over here, they were indentured slaves, basically. But black folks
that has nothing to do with what I asked you, William, because what I asked you was a hypothetical question. I didn't ask you anything about the Quran. I didn't ask you what the Quran teaches. I didn't ask you whether or not the Quran condones slavery. I asked you a hypothetical question about a hypothetical book, and you can't answer it because it's too confronting to the point that you're trying to make.
So, I mean, I would take the good and do without the bad. That's kind of like what I do with the Bible, because, there's a lot of prophets in the Bible that commit a lot of different crimes that I don't really think they committed. I don't think that David sent the man off to die with his wife.
Cowardice.
I don't believe it.
Cowardice.
No,
So William.
Spinach.
William.
Partha.
That looks delicious. William, let me ask you this. Do you think that it's okay to rape a 9-year-old child?
That's a good question.
Of course it's not okay to rape a 9-year-old child.
There you go.
Okay, well then why do you take moral cues from a person that is most prolifically known for doing exactly that? I know I wouldn't. If I heard that somebody raped a 9-year-old child, I would think that they need to be locked away or something, But
John, have you considered the context and the historical context of as you think about the content here, and that you take the good and the bad, you know what I mean? And it's just, you don't really think that part's maybe true, but the other parts are totally true. In this infallible book, written by the divine creator of the universe. You gotta just decide what you're gonna believe. You know what I mean? You gotta read the whole thing so that you know what parts to ignore. That's the lesson here. That's what we've all learned.
You do know that there's nothing in the Quran about the Prophet Muhammad, may peace and blessings be upon him, taking a 9-year-old child. There's nothing in there, right? You know, there's nothing in there.
In the Hadith.
And specifically, William, and specifically, we've got a recounting recorded directly where Aisha is directly recounting the age at which the prophet actually raped her. So like that's just totally fucking wrong, and you need to maybe it's weird. Neither Forrest or I have completely read every Quranic passage or hadith, but yet we know your I almost said Bible. We know your religious text better than fucking you, William.
What are you talking about, man? You sound brother. So you're saying, do you know you read about Aisha? So do you know who she grew up to be as a person?
How does that matter? Yeah, she's a rape victim. She was a rape victim ever since the prophet raped her. Okay.
So you know who she grew up to be? You know she grew up to be an Islamic scholar and one of the.
How does that matter? How does that matter? Why does that matter? She was raped at 9 years old.
Okay. Does that make the rape okay? William, how great of a person does a person have to grow up to be to make the rape okay?
Did you know that she took Islamic jurisprudence to like help spread it to the known world?
I don't care. How does that excuse her being raped?
You don't care anything about her achievements as a person, huh? As a human being.
Does that make the rape okay? Is the question.
I mean, if you want to spout, negativities about people, you should learn their whole stories and not just get caught up on the Islamophobia.
Do you think that we were criticizing her for being raped, you fucking weirdo?
Okay, so I guess you guys are like a part of the 25-year war in Islam, right? You know, it's the 25th anniversary is coming up. You will be celebrating, right?
Pivot.
William,
is a pivot.
Do you think that we were criticizing Aisha for being raped?
No, because you're not honoring her as the woman that she grew up to be. You're trying to criticize
I think she
Islam.
was a victim, and I think what happened to her was wrong.
Okay.
You can pick the most amazing person in history. If somebody does something wrong to them, then I think the person who did something wrong to them should be held accountable. That doesn't change anything about how great that person may have been.
So Aisha
it's genuinely astonishing how bad you are at following a simple train of thought.
Well, I'm saying Aisha was a woman who was married to a prophet. When she was promised to a prophet,
she wasn't a woman when she was married.
Right. Okay. I'm just saying. We're not going there because during the pagan era,
we are going there. That is where we currently are. She wasn't a woman when she got married.
Do you know the pagan Arabs had a practice of burying baby girls alive?
I don't give a shit about them. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about your prophet.
Okay, well, I mean, you can criticize the prophet. No, you want to criticize the
marrying a 6-year-old William is marrying a 6-year-old and having sex with her at the age of 9 a good thing to do? Yes or no?
No, that's not a good thing to do. I don't believe that.
Then you can say that what Muhammad did was wrong, right?
I don't know. I wasn't there to judge him, so I don't have an opinion on any of that.
You can judge him now. You're a human being with at least half of a functioning brain.
So, if I don't like I said, you living in times where women had life expectancy ages of 30-something years of age.
Did that make the rape okay?
In that society, it wasn't considered rape. In this
you
society,
are a fucking coward. You are a fucking coward, William. You are an absolute fucking coward. You seriously, no, shut the fuck up, William. I'm so sick of listening to your dumb, cowardly bullshit. You seriously cannot say that somebody did something wrong when they raped a fucking child. You have to dodge and dance around it. Oh, well, you know, the time. And, well, she grew up to be so successful. And, well, you know, you think about these other things. Fuck you, dude. What a little bitch. Oh, my fucking God. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for calling in and showing everybody just how much these fucking rots your brain. I can sit here and criticize Donald Trump because he raped kids. And I don't have to put any caveats on it. I don't have to check what those kids grew up to be. I don't have to ask about the context of the time or what the legal system had to say or this or that. I just say, hey, it's wrong to fucking rape kids. Now do your profit, scumbag. You're sitting here acknowledging the fact that he did something evil, but you can't just fucking say it? Fuck you. Weak, cowardly, lukewarm, pathetic. It fucking sucks that I have to deal with people like you when there's real, serious Christians and Muslims and people that want to call in and have a serious conversation about their actual faith. And then we get fucking you, who makes all of them look bad. Fucking, I have friends who are Muslim. They know what I think about their beliefs. We can have serious conversations. They can be seriously good people. I have friends that are Christian. They know what I think about their beliefs. We can have serious conversations and again, serious progress, and they're good people. And then we have fucking you over here saying, well, I mean, at the time, it was okay to fuck kids. So, I mean, like, what are you gonna do, you know? Fuck you. Like, I hope that keeps you up at night. I don't think you're smart enough for it to do so. But just fuck you, dude. Ugh. I can't stress enough. Spinach Partha. It's fucking delicious. It's amazing. It's so good. Fucking India Palace, Tulsa, Oklahoma, over on 71st and Lewis. Check it out. Anyway, I'm bored with this fucking pedophile apologist piece of shit. John, you can continue the call as long as you want. You're my friend, and I value your opinion.
No, I don't value the opinions of pedophile apologists. So, William, I've unmuted you just so that everybody knows that you had to listen to all of that. So I think you need to go and do some soul searching so that you can understand how bad it is to rape a 9-year-old child. Goodbye.
My man was talking the entire time. He was talking the entire fucking time. You know he was.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Fucking loser. Rogan Josh with Lamb. Wonderful.
Yeah, we do have one last caller. He is an anti-theist, but wants to challenge you on something there, Forrest. What's up there, Noah? How you doing? You're on the line.
Oh, hi, it's me. Long time listener, first time caller. I want to say first off, wait, I don't think I can hear y'all.
I'm here.
Oh, we weren't talking. We were listening.
Oh, gotcha. My bad.
It's rare for us to shut the fuck up. I know.
Also want to start off by saying y'all are great role models. I look up to y'all in a lot of ways. That's why I speak publicly now. And
get better role models. Thank you.
I had a question and I guess a challenge towards your definition of love. You said that true love was unconditional, correct? I don't want to mischaracterize you.
No. I was saying that God's love is conditional, which is to get away from what people say is God's love is so perfect and unconditional. No, it is very much conditional. I have what I would consider very much true love for my wife. It is conditional. It is on the condition that she is who she is. If she were to go out and start, bombing a school or, doing some crazy shit, that would no longer be the woman that I love. I would stop loving that person. And so, love, I have no problem with love being conditional. I'm saying, God's love is also conditional, the God of the Bible. And so it goes against the Christian doctrine that God is the perfect embodiment of love and is love, and everything he does is love, and it's unconditional. No, it is very obviously very much conditional.
Okay, gotcha. So we're coming from the same place. I thought you were saying that, your love was unconditional.
No.
That doesn't really check out. If if like my brother, who I love dearly, turned into a Nazi or a Klansman or something, I would no longer love them.
Yeah.
So
right, because you love them as they
Okay.
are and as you see them and as you understand them to be. And I would never love somebody who isn't those things. And so, like, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we're on the same page,
Okay,
yo.
well,
Sorry I
that
wasn't clear.
That was pretty much all I had. Sorry it's not a spicy call for y'all, and sorry I didn't have anything for you, Mr. Gleason.
Oh no, you're fine. I mean, I appreciate, you calling in just in general. I mean, it's great getting calls from both sides of the aisle. Although we do prioritize the theists, it's always great to hear from people like you.
Yeah, most definitely.
Oh, groovy.
I leave you with this, and I thank you for your call.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you very much. Have a nice one.
Thank you, Noah. Bye-bye.
All right.
We thought that would be our last call. It's not. We have actually 2 more people calling through right now, working through the call screen. There we go. You want to talk to Pastor Brown while I continue to chow down on this foods?
Sure. All right. So we've got Pastor Brown coming up. Hi there, Pastor Brown. You're on the line. What would you like to talk about tonight?
Well, I got a question. You know how people, like a lot of Christians say, a lot of apologists and theists, they say that the reason you don't believe in God is because you love your sin and you're suppressing the truth. I just wanted to see what your take on that is.
In unrighteousness, yeah.
Because are you guys seeking the truth, or are you just suppressing it? Do you hate the truth, and that's why, because you love your sin? I just wanted you guys' opinion on that.
Yeah.
Well, so first, for me, I mean, when you say truth there, I feel like there's a bit of an equivocation going on, because typically what apologists mean and what people that we talk to generally mean about truth is just like God's truth, or what they feel is the truth about God, as opposed to the actual truth of reality. And so like I definitely am a seeker of the truth of reality. I am not a seeker of whatever in the fuck would be considered the truth of God, right? Like, because I feel like if the truth of God is based in reality, then me seeking reality, the truth of reality, would reveal God if he actually did exist there. As to your actual point, your actual question, sorry, I feel like it's a bit bullshit coming from anybody out there that says that, you just want to sin, because the amount of times that I wake up in the morning and I immediately look on whatever social media feed or news feed that I have, and I see that some pastor, priest, preacher, or something like that has violated yet another group of young children or people in general, that says to me that it's not about wanting to sin, because obviously you can still sin. It's just that now I'm actually accountable for my actions. Whereas if I was still a Christian, I could easily absolve them by just asking for forgiveness and being like, I promise I won't do it again. And then, either going face down, ass up, or, doing the prayer thing to, please the Lord, to get absolved of the sin. And so like I feel like I have to contend with the morals of my actions, or the moral conclusions of my actions. I actually have to deal with that, as opposed to just being able to hand wave it away with a little bit of stroking of Jesus's ego. Forrest, what do you think?
I would say, like, just taking the question as it is, like, do you love sin? I think is the biggest part of this. And I think you handle the concept of truth very well, and I just want to add on to the sin part. I would say that there's a yes and a no to that statement. So first thing is, I don't believe in sin, because sin is just going against God's will. I don't believe that there is a God. Therefore, how could there be such a thing as sin, right? But taking the question as it's asked, right, like in the spirit that you're asking it, I would say that I do love sin in a way, because sin is just a mistake a lot of the times. It's a moral failing. It's humans being human, and I love humans for all of their faults. There's a beauty in how we're flawed and fucked up, and we still try to do things better. So I think that to sin is a human experience. It's a part of being a human. I don't love the fact that bad things happen, and I don't love the consequences of them, but I love humans. And as long as someone is not deliberately trying to do things wrong and deliberately trying to hurt people, of course I love that part of humanity, that flawed and broken and all these things that you call it. I call that just another beautiful part of the human experience, making mistakes and trying to do better tomorrow. So I think there's a very different way that we look at sin. I was just saying, that was my last thing. I think we look at sin very differently. That's all. Now I will shut up and you can speak.
Well, I was watching this guy named Cy Bruggencate or something. He's a Christian apologist, a presuppositionalist. Yeah, and he said everybody knows there's a God, but the reason why you're an atheist is because you love your sin. And I was thinking, well, wouldn't that apply to the Christians too? Don't they love their sin? I thought it was kind of a dumb apologetic. And I just wanted to see what you guys would say to it, because I don't think that's a fair. Yeah.
You know what, Pastor Brown? Do you know what Side 10 Bruggencate was doing while he was making those claims against atheists?
Well, I saw a debate. I don't know what he was doing like live. I just saw it on YouTube. No, go ahead, tell me.
Oh no, it wasn't live. In his personal life, he was violating women in his congregation. So. I mean, it kind of falls on deaf ears to me if he's gonna sit there and be like, "Oh, atheists love their sin." It's like, you are violating women, dude.
Yeah.
I mean,
Cy's whole argument is the same thing as
full of cop outs.
Yeah, he's a fucking loser, dude. That guy sucks.
Just claiming everybody knows there's a God doesn't work. Because what about the Muslim God? Would you use that apologetic, for that faith too? And, Go ahead.
Yeah, no, he does the same thing. Ray Comfort and others, and I think Frank Turek, they do the same thing, and it's from that verse in I think Romans about how the evidence is there so that no one has an excuse and everyone knows it, and so that's the one, yeah, and they use that as this thing to say in your hearts, and even if you don't admit it, you know it. And they, Ray Comfort specifically, I know it's not who you're talking about, but he literally said in a debate, yes, I know what's going on in your head better than you do. And yes, you are lying to yourself if you say that you don't know there's a God. So at the end of the day, it's a really lazy cop-out. And to say that we just love sin and all these other things, I think that people who say that should try to grapple with the fact that statistically speaking, atheists are less of the prison population, disproportionately less atheists go to prison, and disproportionately atheists donate more to charity, and all these other things that just totally fly in the face of what they're talking about. And also, I think that it just means that you've never had a serious conversation with an atheist about what we value, and taking into account the fact that atheism is a very diverse group of people, because atheism is one single answer to one single question. But the atheist community as a whole, at large, they tend to still have some pretty solid morals. And especially on this channel, we're pretty into the whole concept of secular humanism. And so, we're able to lock down some universal moral principles that we can adhere to that I think makes us better equipped to do good things than any Christian who's going to say, I'm going to do whatever God says to do, and that is my moral authority. Now your morality is truly subjective. It is totally up to the dictates of some guy who has shown that he's very fine with doing evil things.
Yeah, I think morality is based on the situational, situational ethics. It depends on what's going on at the time. You can't just claim something is either black or white, right or wrong. Okay, well, that sounds good. Like I said, I'm trying to find a better way to defend my position. But some of these apologists like this Cy, he's a total goof, and it's like he's never debated anybody before except for people that don't know what they're talking about. So I just wanted to get you guys' input. So
yeah, I think he did a really good one, but he did a good one with Matt Dillahunty. That was a absolute fucking shit show for him. And there was this beautiful moment at the end where Matt read his closing argument that perfectly summarized all of Cy's beliefs and why they suck and everything he did in that debate, and then revealed that he wrote that closing argument the night before because Cy is so predictable. So you can check that out. Also, I just want to commend you because calling somebody a total goof is the most pastor way you possibly could have said this guy's a complete fucking idiot, and I love that about you. I think that was really good.
Yeah. Okay, well, thanks. Yeah, and I'll try back, sometime, and we'll talk about something else. Cool.
Cool.
Sounds good, man.
It was good talking to you, Pastor Brown.
Take care, man.
Likewise.
But fun fact: I make a cameo in that debate. I think it's like around the hour 40 mark, maybe. It's in the question answer section. I was actually there at that debate because it was in Memphis, and it was actually really interesting, the entire debate. But I got up there and I asked Cy about the specifics of his particular belief, like whether or not you had to specifically be a particular demographic to get into heaven or whatnot. And so, like, he didn't have a good answer for it.
That sounds like him.
Yep. All right. So we actually do have our last caller for tonight, I think. We've got Vinny calling in from Brazil. What's up there, Vinny? You're on the line.
Oh, hello. Am I really on the line? This is amazing.
Yep,
I'm a huge fan of Forrest Valkai. I haven't gotten to know you yet. I think you might be a great person if you're, standing right beside Forrest. The topic I've submitted was...
He's better.
Morality.
Good hits.
Sorry, I didn't even get to ask if you guys are hearing me. I might just be talking to myself.
No, I can hear you. Go ahead.
No, we got you.
All right. Yeah, so, and I'm totally willing to be lectured here because I'm not a genius or anything, but I would like to ask you guys, what is your opinion about morality? If you think it's subjective, objective, absolute, or even something else?
I'll leave it up to you, John. I've been talking a lot this show.
Yeah, so I've heard pretty coherent arguments for like the moral realism or moral facts or whatnot. I'm still pretty solidly on the side of subjective morality, but the way that I present the subjective morality is that the ultimately, like, the morality is subjective inherently, because it's people, it takes minds in order to come to the determinations or to have moral conclusions about things, and it depends on what end goal you're working towards. So, I mean, in that respect, in general, it's subjective in nature. But I think that what you can do is you can be objective about the conclusions that you come to. So, like, and the being objective about coming to those conclusions comes in the form of, whether or not whatever action gets you closer to whatever stated goal you have. So, like, if you have the stated goal of just pleasing whatever God wants, and I have the stated goal of doing what's best for humanity, then our goals are at odds, and so we're not going to be able to agree on moral conclusions. And I would say that you're wrong, and of course you would say that I'm wrong, but I feel like I am in the better position on this because I actually care about what happens to people, as opposed to you caring, or not you specifically, but that fuck.
Look at my beautiful boy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's me in about 100 pounds ago, 100 pounds, like, heavier. But I think that you can come to objective conclusions about whether or not that. And I think that if you're primarily focused on what God wants as opposed to what's best for humanity, then I feel like I am in the better position than you are to have a better moral foundation, because I actually care about what happens to other people as opposed to what God wants. But anyways, what's your opinion there, Forrest?
Yeah, very similar. I think that morality is definitionally subjective. All morality must be, because morality is something that comes from minds. You cannot have morality. There is no such thing as morality without a conscious agent that is able to experience joy and suffering. And so, like, there's what morality could there possibly be on Pluto at this moment? What moral action could possibly take place? What sin could possibly be committed on a planet, or as a dwarf planet, but on a place with no life whatsoever? There isn't any. And I think even a religious person would agree with that. Morality is necessarily something that we are all deciding on and basing on our subjective experiences and coming up with generation to generation. As society changes, so do our moral structures. And even if you believe that your morality comes from God, God is a subject. God's will, God's opinion is the basis of your morality. Therefore, your morality is still subjective. And the only one possible way that I can think of to get out of that and to call morality truly objective is if morality is somehow above God. Something written in some cosmic stone that God himself must adhere to, which means that God is not your arbiter of morality either, and you don't need God to be moral. God is just as much of a slave as you are. So, like, I don't see any reasonable way, especially as an atheist, to say that morality is anything except for subjective.
Okay, yeah, that's perfect. I'm pretty sure I agree with your position. I'd say it's probably a mixture of both Forrest and John here, because like John said something, I think it's the main aspect is that even if it is like definitionally something subjective because it's something that's applied to subjects, then you can still use an objective measuring stick, to see how close you are to your subjective goal. I think that's probably the most important part. And I mean, well, clearly there's not going to be much of a debate here because we already agree, but it was fun calling in, getting to talk, especially to Forrest. I'm a huge fan, like I said. I love watching.
Thank you. I'm sorry I'm
videos,
stuffing my face with Indian food.
I'm sure that food is delicious, my dude. I hope you're having a nice day.
I'm sorry.
John is having a great day as well.
I'm just saying, I'm sorry I'm sitting here cramming this down. I've been on stream since 4 p.m. and I'm dying. But no, I really appreciate you watching. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you for your question. It was a lot of fun to talk about.
All right, bro. See you guys around.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
We got 2 people on the screen getting through the screen.
I just need to quit saying this is the last call.
We'll go until we're done.
I keep being wrong.
Is that? Hold on a second. Andrew, run on see him. Calling to talk about the Bible. Andrew, you're on the line with Forrest and John. How you doing?
What's up, man? How are you doing?
Hey, is this Andrew from New Jersey from long ago? The person who called in a million times?
No, I'm from Kentucky. I've never called in.
All right, sweet. Never mind then. I thought that this was a different Andrew that we got 1,000 calls from that was just using a different state name to try to get around his ban. And I was going to play fart noises at you and then hang up in a really funny way. But I would love to hear what you have to say, Andrew. How are you today? It takes a lot. It takes a lot, dude.
Did you have a good day? No problem. Have you had a good day?
Yeah, man. Never had a bad day, dude.
That's what's up. Amen.
What do you want to talk about?
So, I don't know. I guess you're an atheist, right?
We both are.
Sort of. Well.
Yep.
What? Oh, okay. 2 people I'm talking to.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right. What's your name, man?
I'm John.
John. And what's the other person I'm talking to?
Hi there. My name's Forrest.
Oh, Forrest? Man, one of my best friends was named Forrest. That's a really cool name.
Now you got another one. Thank you. I brought it from home.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
So, what did you... Yeah, we are both atheists. Neither of us believe in a God. We are both staunchly... Just to kind of speed run through it, neither of us believe in a God. We are both staunchly opposed to the God of the Bible. We both read the Bible. We were thoroughly disgusted by it. We don't believe in Jesus, don't love Jesus. Not a fan of any of this stuff. So you can take wherever you want to take this to talk about whatever part of Christianity. We're going to have similar opinions, and we'll have a great conversation.
All right, sweet. So, my first question would be, like, what about the Bible, like, disgusts you? Because from where I stand in my, like, beliefs, it's sort of like the best way anyone could treat anyone. And then they have, like, history about people treating people like shit and, like, why that doesn't work and why it's not good. And then we're at where we're at in society because, like, not because everyone's not Christian, but just because everyone is like people have depraved morals like in the world, right? Would you say that is
Christianity
true?
has pretty
That
depraved
people
morals.
And what morals are those? Then is my question.
So to answer both your questions, I don't think that. Well, you're talking about people having depraved morals and stuff like that. I think people are just people, and people generally make mistakes. In normal situations, good people try to be as good as they can. Bad people try to be as bad as they can. That's just what people be. But the Bible teaches horrible things. It is not the best way to treat people. There's a little bit in Acts that I think is pretty neat, but besides that, no.
All right, then what?
And the history that we live in tells us that story, because we don't see, when we look back over the past 2,000 years, we see Christians doing good things sometimes, but we don't see Christians being a beacon of morality and of dignity and of human rights and of progress. In fact, more often than not, we see Christianity being used as a weapon against equality, against morality, against humanity, as a tool of colonization, as a tool of genocide.
Okay, how has it been a tool of genocide right now? Besides,
you live in the United States, my friend.
Right, I know. Listen, we're not arguing here. I'm just asking you a question. My question would be, what specifically in the Bible does it teach that is so depraved? And other than people thinking that Israel has something to do with Christians having to fight for it, has the U.S. so evil? Like, that is what, like, the U.S. is compromised, and we're funding a genocide, right? And people think it has to do with the Bible because they're getting tricked, right? They're getting tricked, bro. So what has the Bible so taught that is so depraved? Because all it teaches to turn the other cheek, right?
It also teaches you where. It also teaches you how to own slaves. And like I said, you were asking about what's an example of, it being used as a tool of evil and genocide stuff. You live in the United States, where the Bible, which gives clear instructions on how to own slaves and is a pro-slavery book front to back, was used by slavers here in the United States to justify their slavery. And we had a whole slaves Bible where we used a different version of the Bible to convert slaves. I'm still speaking. And we even had a whole war about it where the Confederate States clearly said, we are a Christian nation following the will of God. Any Christian nation would do what we're doing as well. Slavery is a Christian institution that all good Christians would observe. So, like, the best you can say as a Christian is that they were the wrong kinds of Christian, or they read the Bible wrong, which is exactly what they would say about you.
I can rebuke that 100%, actually, if you actually want to listen to my rebuttal to that. All right, so check this out.
Yeah, tell me where the slavery doesn't happen in the Bible.
All right, so check this out. It does happen in the Bible, right? It's actually in the Bible a long time ago, bro. You said you read it. I don't know if you did read the whole thing, but check this out. So there were slaves, right? And God came down in a burning bush and got this guy to go and free the slaves from Israel, right? Because the Jews were slaves in Israel first,
no. So hold on, Andrew. Andrew, let me correct you real quick. Hold on, Andrew. I got to correct you real quick. Yes, that's true for the Israelite slaves, but that's because the Israelites were the chosen people of God. But what you're forgetting here, or maybe you're not forgetting, you're just not thinking about it, but it only occurs after that God then prescribes slavery for the nations, around Israel.
The Israelites.
Like they can, right.
You're talking about the book of Exodus right after Exodus, actually in Exodus after they're freed from Egypt, and then in Leviticus right afterwards, we get instructions from God on how to buy slaves, how to beat slaves, that slaves are your property to be passed on to your children. Okay. You own them for life.
Leviticus what? Then
25. Let me double check.
25, 44 through 46.
And
Yeah,
Totally.
Leviticus
All right,
25,
so
44
Leviticus,
through 46. I'll read to you here. Leviticus 25,
I'm
44
down.
through 46. Your male and female slaves are to come from the nations around you. From them you may buy slaves. You may also buy some of the temporary residents living among you and nations of members of their clan born in your country. They will become your property. You can bequeath them to your children as inherited property and make them slaves for life, but you must not rule over your fellow Israelites ruthlessly. Now that's in Leviticus. In Exodus, it actually gives an exception
Leviticus
to that.
what? Oh, wait.
25,
All right,
44
before
through
you move on.
46.
Okay, hold on.
In
Let me get
Exodus,
there
it gives
first.
an example of how to get around those rules, by the way.
Yeah, I am not surprised. Do you know the people who wrote the book? All right, so listen, hold on. Leviticus 25, right? I'm still trying to get to it.
Yep.
Give me 2 seconds.
Which is God speaking through Moses, if I remember correctly. These are direct commandments from God.
So the Sabbatal year of the Jubilee, is that, I'm sorry, I'm struggling here to read. All right.
The year of Jubilee doesn't apply to chattel slaves that are covered under Leviticus 25, 44 through 46. You're thinking about 25 in verse 1 through some verse. The year of Jubilee is for debt slaves as well as other slaves, but also that doesn't apply to the Israelite female 25. Slaves.
Yep.
Right, no. Right, but you got to go all the way down to 25, 44 through 46, which comes after the Jubilee year statement.
Because what John is explaining is that there's different types of slavery that they're talking about here. That's why I was trying to bring up Exodus. They have different rules for Hebrew versus non-Hebrew slaves. If you have an Israelite slave, you're supposed to, it's a debt slavery and indentured servitude thing. You let them go after 7 years. The whole Jubilee thing applies. But
so this is
if you have a male
Jubilee thing.
But if you have a male slave, but hold on.
Right.
If you have a male slave, this is what it says in Exodus. If you have a male slave and you give him a wife that is a female slave and they have children together, the wife and the children remain your property forever. So you can breed slaves and have them be your property forever, even amongst Israelites. And then if the man wants to stay with his wife and child, that's Exodus 20. Hold on a second. Exodus, slave, I love my master. Is that Exodus 21? That's verse 5 is the exception here. Hold on a second. That's Exodus 21. If you buy a Hebrew servant, I'm reading this to you. Hold on. Exodus 21 verse 2. If you buy a Hebrew servant,
okay.
If you buy a Hebrew servant, he is to serve you for 6 years. But in the 7th year, he shall go free without paying anything. If he comes alone, he is to go free alone. But if he has a wife when he comes, she is to go with him. If his master gives him a wife and she bears him sons or daughters, the woman and her children shall still belong to her master, and only the man shall go free. But if the servant declares, I love my master and my wife and my children and do not want to go free, then the master must take him before the judges, take him to the door or the doorpost, and pierce his ear with an awl. Then he will be his servant for life. So, again, we have a situation here where you have different rules for Israelite slaves versus non-Israelite slaves.
Okay.
Israelite slaves have different rules, but they have a workaround for those rules.
All right, what line was it that showed that I was an Israelite slave? Just to teach
the very first one is Exodus 21, verse 2.
Now you are the
if you buy a Hebrew slave.
Or set before them. What, I think this is the New American Translation version I'm reading. Now, these are the...
I'm reading New International, but I can also read from King James. Those are the two that I have on hand.
If you buy a Hebrew slave, he shall serve for 6 years, but on the 7th he shall be set free.
Yep.
All right, so slavery has been a thing forever, and I'm not arguing to, against you at all. I'm just saying that slavery has been a thing, but I don't know, that's pretty weird. So it's saying that the Hebrews will get treated, or the Jews will get treated better than
unless you trick them into unless you give them another slave to have sex with and breed with, and then you get to keep their children.
Right.
And if they want to keep their children, then they have to be a slave for life as well. So you can leverage their love and their family against them to trick them into slavery perpetually.
What about the verses of the Bible that say that just because you are circumcised, it's like you have to be circumcised in your heart, not in your flesh, to be one with like God, right? You like
destruction of the pericardium,
right.
That'll kill you. And by the way, what I was talking about earlier, and just to be clear about it, this is from
I know, but it's a
the I know, I'm just teasing you. The Declaration of Secession from Texas is, you can read like when these states left the Union and when they put out a declaration saying this is why we're doing it. So this is just from Texas as an example. That in this free government, all white men are of right, ought to be entitled to equal civil and political rights, that the servitude of the African race as existing in these states is mutually beneficial to both bond and free, and is abundantly authorized and justified by the existence of mankind and the revealed will of the Almighty Creator as recognized by all Christian nations. So,
all right.
What I said earlier, I just want to make sure I'm clearly answering your original question. You asked, what immorality am I talking about, and how has this religion been used in these evil ways? The Bible very clearly explains that from the Word of God himself where to get slaves, it tells you how to beat slaves, it tells you where to buy slaves, it tells you how to have sex slaves, it tells you all these different things, and then we have here the realization of that, where people who are devout Christians use that to do slavery. We can point the same thing to genocide. You asked about genocide. The Bible gives very clear and repeated instructions for genocide, and when we were here in the United States, we slaughtered the Native Americans and took their land because we had the concept of manifest destiny, that God promised this land to us, and the genocide of the Native Americans was a godly thing to do. So we can point to several examples just here in the country you live in.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate your argument. Can I tell you something else? So, George,
please.
Or what was his name? Christopher Columbus. Where was he expelled from when he came here and slaughtered the Native Americans?
Yeah, that was on the Hispaniola that he was. He was down in the Caribbean, and he didn't just slaughter them. He also took them as slaves as well.
Right.
And yeah, his crimes were so atrocious that even the Spaniards were like, "Holy fuck, dude."
Well,
Hopefully,
yeah, and well, to be specific here, because you kind of jumped in time there. Well, hold on, Andrew, hold on.
No,
because it's interesting that you bring up the Christopher Columbus. It's interesting that you brought up Christopher Columbus, because Christopher Columbus is actually the first one to start the transatlantic slave trade. He essentially, when he got over here,
I know that's why I brought it up. That's why I brought it up.
Okay.
So I love that you're arguing for me. It's why I brought it up, because Christopher Columbus got expelled from Spain because it was during the Enlightenment period in Spain, right? Or what would you call it? What do they call it? The Renaissance period. Right after
no. Hold on, Andrew. If you would have let me, Andrew, if you would have let me continue, I was gonna tell you. Right. So the reason why he was expelled and everything like that was because he was like mistreating the natives and taking slaves and everything like that. But the only reason why they had a problem with it was because at that point the Spaniards had claimed the Caribbean area that he was operating in. And so the monarchy considered the natives there to be Spanish citizens, and therefore it was illegal for him to take them as slaves. Up until that point, they didn't have a problem with the slaves that he was taking. In fact, what he did was he made friends with the Taianos, and the Taianos had enemies that were just normal people groups and everything like that. And so in order to justify taking native peoples as slaves, he characterized them as cannibals. And so that made it okay for him to take them as slaves, because that followed in line with what the Bible says.
No. Okay, listen. Bro, he got expelled from the country, maybe for what you're saying he did, but he got expelled from it. And then he went to the Americas, right? And he killed all these like Indians, right? How many other countries did he get expelled from? Not him, but his ancestors and the people he came from, right? Like, was that 109?
How does this apply at all to the conversation of slavery in the Bible?
Because the people that owned the slaves that came from Africa were Jews or fake Jews, right?
What?
Does that not make any sense?
Fake Jews?
You don't understand?
This is sounding anti-Semitic.
Yes.
Yeah, this is getting weird really fast, but I just want to be clear,
Read
Andrew.
Revelation.
Andrew, even if whatever the fuck you're talking about is true, doesn't change the fact that the Bible is a pro-slavery book, and that the slavers throughout history in our country and others have used it to justify what they do. That, which is the whole point of what you asked about.
What about the Talmud? What about the Talmud then? Let me ask you that.
What about it?
I don't understand.
All right, do you know what it is? Do you know what it says?
Yes.
What about it?
So after Jesus was crucified, the Jews
No, he wasn't.
that what? You said he wasn't crucified?
Yeah,
I'm
John
sorry,
doesn't believe that. John's a mythicist and he's having fun. Continue. Go ahead.
All right. No, it's fine. Can I show you guys something or read something to you guys? Is that all right?
Is it relevant?
I hope I don't sound like a dick. Yeah, it's really relevant. It's just one song.
Is it going to explain? Is it going to explain or justify slavery in the Bible and Christians owning slaves and believing that God told them to do it, which is the whole thing that we talked about at the beginning. This whole reason we're on this topic. Is what you're about to say relevant to that?
It predicts. It would be great for your friend to argue about because he doesn't believe Jesus was crucified. But what I will say is, I don't know.
I'm so sorry. I didn't.
What does our whole conversation?
How did you did this to us?
Look, does our whole conversation have to revolve around what I first asked, or can we like continue having?
No, we're just still on the topic,
like
and it sounds like you're jumping to the next thing.
I know.
I would also like to jump to another thing if you'd like. Here's the thing that I want to jump to. Not only does the Bible condone slavery, the Bible is also pro-genocide and pro-rape and pro-sex slavery and pro-pedophilia and anti-woman.
No, it's not.
Do you want to go through all those?
Yeah.
We can, but can I go through one thing with you, and then I'll meet you at the next thing? Let me go through one thing.
Yeah. If you think it's relevant,
if
there's going to be weird things about Jews again, I'm going to be confused.
It's not. It's not. I'm reading from Psalms 22. You guys can pull it up too.
All right.
It's pretty cool.
Hell yeah, Psalms 22. Let's go.
Can I read the whole thing? It's a long psalm. If not, I can paraphrase sort of. All right, so
I swear, if it's not relevant, I'm going to lose it.
Dude, it's relevant to what your friend
It's
said,
a prophecy.
Man. What is his name? Yeah, it's pretty crazy if you honestly listen to it.
No,
So
it is
Jesus got
not
crucified.
crazy.
Hold on a second. Is it a prophecy about Jesus?
Yes.
Okay, so is your argument?
but
Are you gonna say that there's a prophecy in this book about something that happens later on in the book? Because Harry Potter and the Lord of the Rings do that too.
It's called foreshadowing.
That's just how you write a book, dude.
Right, but why do all the people? Why is it the best history book, dude? Why?
It's
not the best history book.
It's very not. It says a lot of things that are historically and scientifically inaccurate.
Bro, have you ever prayed? Have you ever thought that you're not the most
Jesus
powerful
Christ.
thing in the universe? Like,
Have you ever
there's no
prayed,
way.
Forrest?
There's no way you're serious at this point.
Seriously.
There's no way you're
Dude,
serious.
I am. Listen, let me
Andrew,
say
you
something.
fucking with
you
us?
won't even let me read Psalms 22. You won't even let me read Psalms 22.
Because I just told you what it was, and you said yes. I didn't even know what it was, and I was able to tell you what it was, and you agreed with me. I am the prophet here. I figured it out.
All right,
No,
cool.
so
You got where I
Andrew,
was
what do
going,
you
but
think
you
is
won't
more?
let
What,
me read
Andrew,
one
Andrew,
thing.
Meanwhile,
Andrew.
What's up?
No, fuck you, Andrew. No, I'm not going to let you read anything
Right.
because just because some later writers read Psalm 22 and then made up a story that fits Psalm 22 does not prove anything. It proves that they could read the Bible, the Old Testament, the Hebrew Bible.
And it doesn't get away from the
Bro,
fact that, like, it's
what about the Dead
just.
Sea
I
Scrolls?
said a
It
second
matched up
ago.
perfectly.
I said a second ago that, you know, the Bible not only is pro-slavery, but pro-sex slavery and pro-pedophilia and pro-rape and anti-woman. And you were
And
like,
I don't
no.
agree with that.
Let me just show you this
think
one thing.
Jesus is
And the
not gonna
one thing
do
you've got
anything
is
about
one
the
part of the
Epstein
Bible that
files?
says there's going to be some guy named Jesus. And then the next chapter it says there's this guy named Jesus. Dude, you got to get a better fucking, a better theology than that.
Dude, you gotta at least listen to what I'm saying before dismissing me and like laughing at me. You can't just say what
I'm going to
just
ask
said
you.
and
I'm
not
going to ask you
listen
the
to what I
same
have
question.
to say.
I'm going to ask you the same question I asked the last caller. If you have a book that is, you know, got all these things, and somebody tells you, like, hey, here's this amazing book. It's got all these moral lessons, all these life lessons, this amazing story in it that you really need to take seriously. And you flip open to a random page in the middle of it, and it talks about here's how to own slaves, and here's how to take sex slaves, and here's how to force children to marry you, and here's how all these things that are in the Bible. Would you give a fuck about the rest of the book? Or would you be like, hey, this is enough for me to know that this isn't worth my time?
You are lost, and it's sad, bro. Like, you misrepresent.
Jesus Christ. You
Dude,
can't even
if
answer a
someone-
straightforward question.
No, I can't. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how to answer that question, if I'm being honest with you. Right?
It's
that
not a
sound
hard
like
question.
a sane human being? Right, but does it sound like a sane human being to have that
I
belief
agree with that.
and
It
to
doesn't.
try and answer that question but listen to me for 2 seconds, bro. Like, does it make sense that makes me pause, right? And I don't know enough about, like, I haven't read enough about that. If I could, I would either agree with you or argue with you, but I have not read enough about that. Your friend or your friend just showed me that passage, you know, and I knew there was stuff about slavery in the Bible because that was a thing back in those days. There was slavery, and there has been slavery. I'm pretty sure there still is slavery in the world, right?
Right. So, Andrew,
terrible.
now that we're back onto the slavery thing, do you believe that God is omnibenevolent?
Omnipresent or omnibenevolent? What's the difference? Or omnipotent?
Omnipresent is that he's everywhere. He's everywhere all the time. And then omnibenevolent is that he's God is good all the time, and all the time God is good.
I believe in both. I believe God is good all the time. He always is, and that He's everywhere.
Okay.
At once, right?
No, that's perfectly fine. If God is omnibenevolent, why did He specifically give commands to take chattel slaves of any nation at all? Why didn't He say don't own slaves?
I'm not saying he didn't say that, but
no, he did not. There's not a book, chapter, or verse where God says there's not a book, chapter, or verse where God says owning a chattel slave is bad. Owning slaves from the nations around you is bad. He says the exact opposite, that is where you're supposed to own slaves or purchase your slaves from. So God never says that it's a bad thing to own another person as chattel, as property.
Hey, so dude, I'm just thinking of this right now. Like, what if we're slaves to God, right? Because that
would fit with his character since he's cool with slavery, and that still makes him a monster.
All right, I know, right? I know. Trust me. This argument or this like point of view is favoring you. So look, and obviously I don't believe this, but like we got tricked into like doing sin, right, which is bad. Just think of it in that point, because that's like Christianity, right? That we like sin, we're supposed to die for it, and then like Jesus came back, or came as in like God's son, and sacrificed himself and took all of our sins, right? So what if we sin and we're just like a slave to ourselves, as in sin, right? And God died for us, so we're good, but we just have to believe in him. I mean, you guys won't let me read anything out of the Bible, but
then that's a
isn't
shitty
it super
morality.
weird? Like, have you? All right, yeah, but
no, Andrew,
how
we
it's
didn't
not
let you
shitty-
read from
No, but
Psalm
how it's-
22 because we already knew what it said. So, like, there's no point in you reading it. It would have just
Then
been
what did
you
it
reading the
say?
Bible
No.
on our channel.
No, okay, but no, you didn't know what it said. You didn't know what it said. You just know it prophesied something because I said that. But listen,
No, it was
So,
about the
no,
crucifixion. You were
do you
reading
ever
Psalm
feel
22
a
because
slave-
it prophesied
Do
something
you-
about the crucifixion.
Well, it does a lot of things. Listen, do you ever feel a slave to anything bad you do? Or do you feel like you don't do anything bad? Where does your moral compass come from?
Myself.
Do you want to jump to
All right,
another
and
fun
what
thing,
makes
or
you-
do you just want to actually
what
stick
makes you
with
feel
the
bad?
fundamental thing that's right in front of you?
It seems like you want to stay on the same topic over and over again when we've talked about it. But my
Yes,
Andrew,
question would be...
Andrew,
we want to
I
stick
want-
to a topic.
You said...
I want you to no, Andrew, it's not that I just want to stick to it. I want you to actually grapple with it, because I said to you that the Bible condones slavery and genocide and all this other stuff, and that has real world consequences. You asked me for clarification. I gave it to you. And then rather than grappling with it, and saying either, you know what, that is fucked up, the Bible shouldn't have said that, maybe it's not all true, maybe it's not all good, I don't know, or giving me some explanation for why it might say that, anything, you just said, well, I mean, have you ever prayed, and can I read you this other psalm for a minute, and like, where's your morals come from? You're just jumping around from apologetic talking point to apologetic talking point rather than digging into the actual problem. The Bible tells you how to keep slaves, and it says it's a good thing to do. The Bible is pro-genocide. It tells you to commit genocide. God commands genocide. God commits genocide. It's pro-sex slavery. God does it.
New Testament?
Yes, I
read
have.
the New Testament?
Yes, I have, and I've read the parts where Jesus
so
says...
mad, bro.
Where Jesus says, no, I'm not mad, I'm fucking passionate about this topic, because people like you are picking up this book that tells you that, like, about how to rape little girls because they're spoils of war, and you can take them as your wives against their will.
Bro. That's the Talmud.
And people like you are reading this, and then you say, well, look at the New Testament, where Jesus says that not a jot or a tittle of the old law shall change until the end of the age and all things come to pass. I come not to change the law, but to fulfill it. Jesus repeatedly stands up for the Mosaic laws and says that we are still under that covenant, and it doesn't change anything. What? And also, folks like you usually believe that Bible... Jesus and God are the same person. Which means everything that God did in the Old Testament is also Jesus' fault as well.
Yeah, Andrew, you just said something right there that I really want you, like, you're dying to read some scripture, and I want to hear you read some scripture. Well, if I point you to a specific scripture, can you read it for me?
Yeah, for sure. If you let me say one thing, is what in the Bible do you not want to follow besides what you just said? What of the New Testament do you not want to follow that makes you so disgraced from Christianity? It makes you not believe in God.
I don't have to answer that because you just said I wanted to say one thing, not that you wanted to ask a question. Now go to Deuteronomy 20.
All right. Nice.
Go to Deuteronomy 21, 10 to 14. Can you go to Deuteronomy 21, 10 to 14?
I'm trying. Yep.
Okay.
You said 10 to 21.
No. Deuteronomy 21, chapter 21, verse 10 to 14.
All right. Verse 10. Hold
right.
on. Let me get to verse 10. Yep, I'm reading it.
And what does it say?
Can you
read it out loud.
Can you read? Yeah, read it for the class.
Yeah, they're supposed to serve him. However, if it does not make peace with you,
Start at chapter 10. Nope, start at verse 10. Start at verse 10.
I started
at verse 10.
where I was last read. You guys should know this. I can read it for the class. Yeah.
Yes. Verses 10 through 14.
For the YouTube fucking thing, bro. Chill. Hold on. I'll read it. Dude, you act like I'm trying to be like hide.
Still waiting for you to read it.
So when you approach a city to fight against it, you shall offer terms of peace, and if
oh my God, are you starting at the very beginning?
Still,
and open
Jesus Christ,
no,
dude.
I'm on verse 10.
Verse 10 of what?
People who are found. What?
What chapter are you in?
20.
Right, chapter what?
Oh, I'm in 20. 20.
21.
Right.
No,
Okay,
21. Deuteronomy 21. 21.
Dude, it's still talking about slaves. How triggered are you?
No, go to fucking 21. God damn it, Andrew. Fuck.
Jesus Christ. Chapter 21, verses 10 through 14. Read them aloud. I'll do it for you if it's too hard.
Battle, is this it? Domestic revelations. When you go out to battle against your enemies, and the Lord your God hands them over to you, you take them away captive, and you see among the captives a beautiful woman, and are strongly attracted to her, and would take her as a wife for yourself. Then you shall bring her into your home, and she shall shave her head and trim her nails. How long do you want me to read?
Keep going.
Until verse 14.
All right,
which is what we said.
The clothes of her captivity and shall remain in her house. Dude, chill the fuck out.
Just do the thing, dude. You keep dodging.
All right, I was on the wrong chapter. Are you, do you have something up your ass? Are you all right, bro?
Jesus Christ, dude. You can't even read your own fucking book.
And weep her father and mother in a full month. And after that, you may relations with her and become her husband, and she shall be your wife. But it shall be, if you are not pleased with her, then you shall let her go whenever she wishes. You certainly shall not seal her money. You shall not treat her as her merchandise, since you have humiliated her. If a man has two wives, the loved one.
Okay.
He's now on verse 15. He doesn't. He's just going. He's now on verse 15.
Oh, yeah,
Andrew, okay, so my point in making you read that was that earlier when Forrest made a passing reference to this particular set of verses, you said, no, that's in the Talmud. No, it's not in the Talmud. It is right here in your own fucking book that you apparently have trouble reading when it's directly against everything that you've been saying so far. This is when an Israelite soldier can rape a captive girl and make her his wife without getting her consent, without getting anything. He rapes her, and that's how he marries her. All right? And if she doesn't please you, then you can let her go. And that's it. Okay? So that's your book. To answer your question, I had you read this passage because this is something in your Bible that I don't like, that is horrible, that's reprehensible, that's beyond the pale. Okay? There's no amount of good shit that you can point out in your book that's going to make this go away.
Well, that's fine. I mean, what I would say is, do you think that if there was a God, let me ask you this, if there was a God,
he's not going to think about, he's not even going to try to think about what you just said.
All right, well then I don't care. I don't know. What do you want me to say then?
Like, so literally, it's so fucking lazy. It's so fucking lazy.
No, it's a hypothetical. It's a hypothetical. Just answer the question. If there was a God, do you think he would want right things done or wrong things done?
If it's the God of the Bible, it's very clear that he wants whatever he wants done, as long as it serves him. He has no concept of morality or of the suffering of human beings. He only wants
of a God.
I'm talking about a God. Is the God of the Bible not a God?
It is to me. It's not to you, apparently, which is fine.
Right.
But my question:
the God of the Bible.
If there was a God,
if the God of the Bible is real, then no, he does not want good things to happen. He wants self-serving things to happen. He wants things that bestroke his ego to happen. That's all he wants. He literally set some children on fire because they put the wrong incense in an incense burner once. He doesn't give a fuck. He just wants everybody to suck his dick.
So then my question still stands. If we're not talking, even if we're not talking about the same God, if there was a God, do you think that he would want good things to happen or want good things for his people? Yes or no? And if we are like that,
so I'm going to answer the question again. I'll answer the question again. I have been presented with many gods in my time. I'll answer the question as many times as it needs until you get it, Andrew. I have been presented with many gods in my time, and what I have seen from the gods that have been presented to me is that they don't care about good or bad things happening to people. They don't care about right or wrong. They are self-serving assholes.
So that's your viewpoint on if there was a God, he's a self-serving asshole, right?
Yes. And even if I look at the universe around me right now, even if I look at the universe around me right now, and I'm not even just talking about the Bible, if I just look at the universe that I live in today, if there is a God, what kind of God is it that would make a universe like this? And the only answer I can come up with is a fucking lunatic.
And I want to add that any God out there that would care about the well-being of humans is just employing a humanistic worldview, and which is kind of as Forrest was pointing out, is uncharacteristic of any God definition we've ever encountered. But if he wasn't employing a humanistic principle to his worldview or his commands or whatnot, then that just renders the God useless, because then we could just use humanism in order to come to our decisions and to guide us in our moral conclusions. We just simply don't need the God. So no, I would not worship your God. I would acknowledge that a God existed, maybe, but I definitely didn't need him in order to help me make decisions about what's good, bad, right, or wrong. And if you're trying to make a case for your particular Bible God, he definitely doesn't give a shit about what happens to us, because he sits up there, fondles himself while people suffer, and he's fine with it. It's actually part of his plan. He likes to watch people suffer.
All right. So I was talking about a God, and specifically your God, that if there was a God, how would you see it as? And I understand how you answered it 100%. So if there is a God, then he fondles himself and laughs at us being tortured on earth, and going through what humans do go through, right? Like genocide, especially genocide based off of like people being brain dead in America and letting politicians do whatever they want, and like everything's bad on earth, right? You know what's funny?
Not everything.
That proves to me. What's funny is how morally decayed and how terrible the world is. Proves to me God is real, right?
Your God should have made a better world then.
Like,
How does no. So if your God is omnibenevolent and omnipotent, hold on. Oh my God, not the free will thing again.
Fuck me, dude. Look, we got all the way back around.
I know. If your God is omnibenevolent and omnipotent, then the fact that suffering exists makes no sense. So it's totally counterintuitive, the thing that you just said.
No, it's not. Not to me. Not to my brain. If you could explain it, I would be.
I'll explain it in the simple logic. Simple logic. Does God know everything at all? Like total? Is he omniscient? He knows every possible thing.
Yes, of course.
Including.
You already know.
Does he know every possible thing, including all possibilities in all possible realities? So it's not just everything that's going on in this world. He knows every possible outcome of every possible thing in every possible reality. Truly, completely all-knowing.
Yes.
Okay.
Of course.
And is he all-powerful?
Right.
And is he all-powerful? He can do absolutely anything ever. He could have made the world any way at all.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay,
sir.
Great. Next question.
Of course, you know I'm going to be a marching band on that question.
Next question.
I'm up.
The last time I sinned, this is actually a two-part gambit here. The last time that I committed a sin, was it possible for me, using my free will, to have freely chosen to not sin?
100%. Yeah.
Is that always the case with every sin?
Yeah. Yeah, even though I'm always going to, check this out. Yes, 100%, even though I know, that's a hard question, man, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Because I always sin, and Jesus was the only one that didn't sin, right? And I'm always falling to sin. Even though I claim to be the guy that's the Christian and the guy that believes in God and knows that he's my savior, so I should follow him, right? But I always mess up, man. Like, I can't be free of sin. I'm always, like, chained down to it. Is that an honest enough answer for you?
No, because it doesn't answer the question. I'm asking, is it always the case with every single sin that one could, of their own free will, choose not to sin? Is it possible?
Maybe no. I don't know.
Okay.
No.
So then you're saying that it is
because no one.
You're saying that it is impossible. It is logically impossible for a person to live a sin-free life.
Unless you're like God. Yeah. I'm gonna say unless you're God.
I said a person,
a
human.
Makes sense. Right. Yeah. Unless you're like God's son. Yeah. Born. Yeah.
So then here's the situation that you're in, Andrew. Here's the situation that you're in. And I'm going to be very clear. It's going to take me a second to get through. If you interrupt me, I'm just going to mute you. So just listen up, okay? It's really important.
I'm listening.
Here's the situation that you are currently in. Your God knows every possible reality that there is. That includes realities in which people don't sin of their own free will. He deliberately made this reality, one in which sin is not only possible, but inevitable, not just for some people, but for every person. What you just told me is that it is impossible for someone to live a sin-free life, even though every single sin that we commit, we could technically choose not to. We will all inevitably fail and fall short of God's standard. God, who could have made any universe at all, and knows what every one of those universes would have looked like, including universes more perfect than this one, chose to make this one, in which sin exists, and in which he has to sacrifice himself to himself, in which he has to have a system of hell, in which he has to judge people, in which the Bible is written in its current state, whether it actually represents him or not. Millions and billions of people believe it, and everything that it teaches about rape and torture and murder and genocide and slavery is carried out to its most horrific extent in his name. He chose that universe, knowing every evil thing that was going to happen because of him, because of people who believe in him, everybody who's going to fall short of him, all of it. And the only way that you are able to go to heaven, which is a whole other bag of ethical worms that you don't want to deal with, is by begging him for forgiveness, believing in Jesus, confessing with your mouth, bending your knee, blah, 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 that whole thing. He made the problem and then invented a solution. And the solution isn't anything to do with his great power. It is you stroking his ego sufficiently. And then he decides to let you into his amusement park after you die. All the children being raped here on Earth, if one of them says, fuck this, God damn it, I don't want this to happen, and becomes an atheist, they go to the same pit of fire along with everybody you don't like. And if Hitler himself decides, I love Jesus at the end of the day and confesses and repents, he gets to go to heaven. The only moral system is God's ego, and the entire universe is set up to be ruthless and brutal and evil and corrupt and terrible. Everything you blame on human free will is something that God planned in advance and knew was going to happen and made the whole universe that way on purpose. And the only one way that you get the dignity of a slave is to suck God's dick and stroke his ego. That's the situation you're in because of the basic logic that you just went through. That's your religion. Fuck that.
Bro, you know Hitler was actually a Christian?
Yep. Catholic,
Yes.
if I remember correctly.
That to make you hate it more than, right?
Is that the only thing you got out of what I just said?
No, I was listening the whole time. And the whole time I was smiling. It sounds great to me. It sounds like God bailed humanity out for being like wicked. You know,
Bailed them out of the situation that he put them in. He bailed them out of the thing that he made them do. He created you sick and ordered you to be well.
He didn't make you, he doesn't make you steal. He doesn't make you lie.
Yes, he does.
He doesn't make you,
yes, he does. As I just laid out, he created the whole universe, knowing every single thing that I would ever do, and he could have created the universe differently to make those things happen differently, but he didn't. He could have made the universe that I, of my own free will, he could have made a universe where I, of my own free will, never commit a sin. And he didn't make that universe. He made a universe where he knew that I, of my free will, would commit sins. And then he made the punishment of those sins, which is something that I have no control over. And he made the absolution from those sins me sucking his dick.
So that's a pretty.
Also, you bring up Hitler. Man. God knew everything Hitler was going to do too, and he did it that way anyway.
Yep, he sat there. He watched Hitler do it.
You want to?
He knew from the beginning of the universe that Hitler was going to do that. He made the universe on purpose so that Hitler would do those things.
I'm sorry, you're talking to a wall right now. Hitler was a Christian, and he tried.
I know. I've been talking to a wall for the past fucking 51 minutes.
Right? No, you're just egoistical. Like you're in your own ego, thinking I'm retarded.
You're egoistical.
And anyone
you're an egoistical.
Anyone
like you're just a list of egos right now.
Yeah. I'm not in my ego. I am judging your God for the situation that you just put him in.
I think he slurred.
Did he? You slurring, Andrew? You run out of ideas and you're throwing out slurs?
No, I'm pretty sure I didn't.
No.
I would be fine with it, though, but I mean, you believe that Hitler had a concentration camp and killed 6 million Jews. Before that, in Ukraine, or in Russia, they had...
Do you not believe that? Are we on the Holocaust denial now?
What about the Bolshevik Revolution where they killed so many Christians and so many people died through starvation.
What does this have to do with how shitty your God is? Like, I have no idea. We're going down so many different other roads. This is whataboutism. Like the third. This is the third or fourth time you've done a whataboutism.
Read anything.
And what about when King Leopold the Christian slaughtered like 10 million Congolese people?
Read Revelation message to Samaria. It says they claim they are.
So now we're on to another scripture because you don't have any thoughts of your own.
No, I'm telling you the thoughts of my own through what I've interpreted through scripture, but you won't let me read anything. So
King Leopold of Belgium, the Christian man.
Look,
Andrew, King Leopold killed 10 million people in Congo and was a Christian.
Okay. Why did he?
And also the Holocaust happened, right?
How many Jews died? Were there 6 million Jews in Germany? Were there that
I'm not going to
many?
move on until you admit that the Holocaust happened, because I have a feeling like you don't think it did. After you said, I believe that.
No, yeah, and then he's casting doubt on the number of Jews that suffered.
Yeah, it's 271,000. Bro,
yeah, it's a fucking Holocaust denier too.
And you don't
after
know what
all,
happened
after
with the
an
banks
hour,
that are happening
after
now.
an hour.
Yeah,
did you say something about banks?
After an hour. Yeah. Who do you think
you're
controls
just an
the fucking
anti-Semite.
banks? Who controls the media?
Wow,
Wait, at the end of all of this, he's a neo-Nazi? Who fucking could have saw that? Who could have seen that coming? Jesus of Christland, that is wild as fuck. Fucking an hour in of fucking like, oh, the Bible isn't that bad. You had the slavery stuff, you have to, and now all of a sudden we're at the Jews own the banks and the Holocaust wasn't that bad. Are we fucking kidding me? Oh, that's wild. Oh man. Hey Andrew. I encourage you. You're saying things and we're not listening. Andrew, you're on mute. Nobody can hear you but your own stupid self. Go give your mom her phone back and continue eating your own excrement like all you fucking idiots do. Fuck off, Andrew. Fucking idiot. Oh man.
My God.
After all that. Oh. I don't even know. How do I'm not going to click. I don't know where the ban button is on this new system. I clicked the thing that said send to banner. And it sent it to the fucking banner on the screen. I thought we had a person who helped with banning. A banner. It's so stupid. My brain just fell out of my fucking ears after that shit.
Yeah, I don't know if Lux on the other end can make that update, but yeah, I don't know.
Lux is forsaking us. You know what? At the end of the day, the writing was on the wall. The amount of times he kept talking about, oh, those are the Jewish books, and you know, the Israelites had these things. I'm like, yikes.
Yeah, I know.
What a fucking dweebus.
Yeah, I don't know how well this last call. This is our last call.
This actually probably is, maybe. Let's find out. Yehuda, calling in as an anti-theist who wants to talk about trans folks. How are you?
Yeah, hi. No, I wanted to ask a question about what you posted. I'm a huge fan, by the way. I listened to all your Reactoria videos, Light Revolution, very, very insightful. But yeah, you posted something a couple of days ago saying that trans men are men, trans women are women, and I just wanted you to clarify what you mean by that.
Exactly what I said. Trans men are men, trans women are women, non-binary people are non-binary.
No, when you mean trans, what do you mean by trans? You mean someone that went through like they went through surgery, they went through the whatever treatments they went through. So they
you don't have to go through
transition basically over.
You don't have to go through surgeries or treatments or anything to be trans. No, it just means that your gender is incongruent with your assigned sex at birth. So a trans man is somebody who is assigned female at birth, but is actually has a male gender identity, you could say, if you wanted to. I don't like that language because I think it conflates sex and gender to say so. But this person was born a boy, grew up to be a man, maybe took a little while for them to figure that out about themselves. Same thing with, like, if you talk about sexuality, it might take them a little while to learn about their sexuality. Then they come out, they tell you about who they are, and you believe them. This person was assigned female at birth, but they were actually a male. Or, sorry, actually, a boy.
Then what do you consider? Then what will you consider when you say somebody's a boy? What do you mean that they're a person? How do you know that person's a boy or a man? Or
it's all these words mean. So a man is a person. A man is an adult human. A man is an adult human whose gender identity aligns with the social, cultural, behavioral, maybe physical characteristics that they associate with masculinity. Masculinity, manhood are social constructs that we come up with together. And if you have characteristics, exhibit characteristics that you identify, that you align with this concept in your head, the schema in your head of masculinity, then you are a man. And we have not just cultural evidence of this, but also neuroscience evidence of this, neurobiological evidence of this as well.
So you don't think it has anything to do with genetics or how your genes operate? Like, I understand it's like even a slight difference can have a huge effect on your body. What do you mean? So a man doesn't do
unlikely.
Genes,
there's no evidence that I know of. So genetics, you're talking about sex, which is not the same thing as gender. So most males have XY allosomes. Most females have XX allosomes. Not all of them do. And none of those things are directly associated with manhood or womanhood. You can say that they're I shouldn't say associated with. None of those things are predictive of, or you can boil manhood or womanhood down to those things. So that's the easy way to say it. You cannot reduce gender down to nor predict gender by sex characteristics. Sex and gender are different things.
So you view sex and gender totally different, because I view them as, for the most part, interchangeable.
Yeah, that's
right.
wrong.
Most people do, but for the past almost 100 years now, we've kind of known that isn't the case, and people are kind of... It's the same way that people use the word theory to mean guess, and then when they talk about evolution and say it's just a theory, they sound fucking dumb. Right.
I hate that. That's so annoying.
Yeah, most people use the word sex and gender interchangeably, but sex refers to the physical, the genetic, the physiological, the hormonal, the phenotypic characteristics of a person, males, females, and intersex people. Gender refers to the socially constructed behaviors, roles, norms, expectations, self-reflections of boys, girls, men, women, non-binary people. So, like,
but you could you could still be a woman, and let's say, and have attributes that you would sometimes consider to be a man, but she could still be a girl. It doesn't change who she is. It's because she has interests that would typically you would find in the opposite sex.
Exactly. Yes. Sex and gender are different things. They're not always congruent. That's the long and short of it.
Right. But
so
what I'm trying to say is that, but just because you have, like, let's say you typically are attracted to things that males do, that doesn't automatically would make you, like, trans. I'm not sure how someone would become trans. As far as I'm aware, it's not something that you could just become.
If you're just a tomboy, like if you're a girl who just likes boyish things, you're not associating your gender identity with constructs that you associate with masculinity. You're just doing things that you like. So that's why I said, when we're defining these terms, we're defining them as somebody whose gender identity is aligned in this particular direction. I have a gender identity that is aligned with social, behavioral, cultural, and physical traits that I associate with masculinity. Therefore, I'm a man. That has nothing to do with my chromosomes, has nothing to do with my anatomy, has nothing to do with anything except for the fact that my identity as a person is aligned in this way.
Well, one big thing that I want to make here first before you come back in there, Yehuda, you know that you don't become like when you say become trans, that makes it sound like it's a choice. It's not a choice that's being made there. You don't just become a trans.
Just like I know it's not a choice to be Just like I know it's not a choice to be gay or straight. I know it's not a choice, but I'm just saying I'm not sure I understand how it works. And I'm just trying to understand it.
So there's two different sets of hypotheses about these things. We're talking about gender identity and sexuality and all these things. There's two different groups of hypotheses. One of them is the kind of born this way situation that we're talking about, where it is purely just you're born and this is what your structure looks like. This is what your whole situation is, and it's almost predetermined, almost bioessentialist in that way. And the other one is some sort of like cultural nurture style influence that shapes your understanding of gender and of sexuality and what you are and what you do. And what we're finding more and more is that the reality is kind of somewhere in the middle. You are either born gay or not, but what you do with that and what you actually find sexy in your life and how you find romance, all those things, those are culturally constructed situations. Same thing here. You're either born trans or not, but you're either born trans or not, but the things that you associate with masculinity, femininity, the behaviors, the norms, the roles, whatever, those are culturally constructed. And as you go through your life, as you live a gendered life, you develop a gendered brain. We do see little things in the brain where like neural architecture, like male brain looks a little bit more this way and female brain looks a little bit more that way, and they kind of see some parts of the brain where a trans man has parts of the brain that looks more like someone with a male assigned male at birth. But when we actually look into it more, we find that brains are more mosaic than that. They're not purely sexually dimorphic. There's actually not a lot of internal consistency there. And so, yeah, things kind of shift in that direction, even in some way that are predictive, but it's not 100%. It doesn't work as well. What does happen a lot of times is activation patterns. When we see how the brain processes information about itself, how the brain interprets your body and who you are and thinks about itself, that reflects your gender identity way more than your sex assigned at birth. So that's what we're talking about with those things. We're just seeing that this is more of a blended thing. There's a nature and a nurture at play here, and there's no way to nurture your way out of nature or into it or anything like that. You're either born trans or not. You're either born gay or not. What that looks like for an individual person is more or less culturally constructed, because gender is
right. So, right. I'm not not slight off topic, but like another problem that I have is that sometimes we teach these type of things to children, and sometimes we even let them, sometimes they don't know, and you tell them if you don't know, it's possible you might be, and then they may sometimes think that, and sometimes they could even go through treatment at a very young age, which personally I'm against. I want to know your opinion on that.
Well, so hold on. I want Forrest to chime in, but I mean, I feel like maybe that's not a decision for you to make. Like, I feel like that's a decision between a person and their doctor. And if it's a child, it's between a child, their parent, and their doctor. No, it kind of, it comes across as you being like, oh, I think that I should take the ability of parents to parent their children and make medical decisions for their children, or people in general to take their ability to make medical decisions away. And you seem to want to insert like some kind of state or something like that in between the doctor and their patient. Is that what you're trying to do, or are you trying to say something else?
No, I'm not trying to tell. I'm not going to tell somebody, if they're going to trans their kids. I'm not going to tell them to not do it. I can't tell them to do. But personally, I would never listen to my kid if they're telling me this thing at such a young age. I wouldn't they're a kid. They say weird things all the time. I don't know, I wouldn't know what to take seriously or not seriously.
So if your child, let me get something straight. If your child, Yehuda, let me get something straight. If your child comes to you and confides in you that they feel that they're outwardly presenting gender or sex doesn't match how they feel, you're going to then shame them or something, or you're gonna refuse to acknowledge?
I would never shame them or put them in a situation. I would tell them I would tell them to do a little bit more research, but also tell them that you're a young kid. You don't really have to worry about these type of things yet. Maybe you'll go a little, you'll grow up a little bit. You'll understand it a little bit more.
The problem that you started out with was you said no, Yehuda,
which is why
Yehuda. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I misspoke.
That's so frustrating because that is why when we're talking about gender affirming care for children, their gender identity needs to be consistent, persistent, and insistent. It's not just some kid walks up and says, I think I might be a boy, and they just take them into surgery and just lop their chest up and they do all sorts of things. That's not how it works. It is, you have to show a gender identity that is consistent, has to be the same thing over a long period of time. Kids do say different things. Kids try on different clothes and different music and different personalities and different hairstyles and explore their sexuality and explore their gender identity, and they might not have the same opinion of themselves from one week to the next. That's why you need a consistent gender identity that is lasting a long time. It is persistent. Even if you try to talk about it, you shift it, you explore it, whatever, it's the same thing all the time. And it is insistent. It wants to come out, and trying to force them to deny it is causing them pain and isn't working for them. At that point, you then engage in a staged, slow process of transition that allows that child to explore their gender identity while keeping their options open with age-appropriate and evidence-based medicine. That's what we're talking about here. And you're saying I don't like it probably because you bought into some propaganda about how kids are just going out getting their little dicks cut off because they said they want to be a girl today. But at the end of the day, that's not the reality of the situation. And I would challenge you to ask yourself if there are any other situations in which you would deny a child life-saving medical care because you just don't think they need it.
Well, why would it be life-saving?
Because denying them that care,
they're dying if they don't.
Because denying them that care is associated with a significantly higher risk of depression. Gender affirming care. Denying them that is associated with a significantly higher risk. I'm going to continue speaking if it kills you. It is associated with a significantly higher risk of suicide, anxiety, depression, self-harm, all manner of things that put the life of that child at risk.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Do the statistics change after they transition? Like the depression, the suicide rates, do they go down after they go through that?
They go down during and after that, but it's also highly associated with social acceptance. So if they're in a situation where they're trying to go through these things, this really important process, and they're living with parents or in a community that is not accepting of them and is telling them over and over that they're, freaks and weirdos and deviants and perverts and pedophiles and whatever else, and making fun of them and chastising them, then we see that these risks are still there in the exact same way that they are with literally any other kind of bullying or gaslighting or reality denial.
No, I would just sit them down. I would have a conversation with them. Tell them to do a little bit more. I would never ostracize my child or make fun of them or do anything like that to upset them. But I did hear.
No, but before you said that if your child came to you and confided in you about maybe not feeling like whatever sex they were born into, you would like the first word that came out of your mouth was to tell them no. Did I mishear that?
Well, no, I might have said that. I might have spoken, but what I meant to say was that I wouldn't just let them go through I wouldn't just affirm them. Maybe it's possible. I would just tell them, you're still young. Think about it a little bit more, and then maybe we can talk about it. And do a little more research. Maybe I can set you up to talk to somebody about it.
Maybe what you should say is maybe what you should say is let's talk to a doctor or a therapist that is more qualified than me to assess whether or not what we need to do about this. That's way better.
Well, yeah, that would definitely be
as a parent myself. Hold on, Yehuda. Right. Well, Yehuda, just as a parent myself, if my son were to come to me and tell me, "Hey, I don't exactly feel like a boy. I feel more like a girl," I would not be like I would not be so negative about it or something like that, right? Like I would definitely want to affirm how they're feeling and then do what Forrest suggested, and that's not that's to not necessarily just blanket affirm, but to help them navigate the situation and not be a negative person about it, but just be there for them so that they can navigate it.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get you to rethink how you would approach that, because that's very important. It factors into that whole social acceptance thing that Forrest was just talking about. I mean, coming from an authority figure like a parent, I mean, that's going to say a lot to a child. And so you have to handle those with a lot of care.
Right. So I would never put my child down about it. And a therapist would definitely be a good option to start with. But what I'm saying was I don't know how, I've heard these stories where these children would have, 1 or 2 sessions with a therapist, and they would automatically start them on medication right away. And personally, especially
Nobody
with a lot of these medications
right
have a lot of side effects. I'm just telling you what I've heard. I can't verify 100%.
I doubt your story. I doubt your story.
All right, that's possible, and I really hope it's not true. But I just want to know what your opinion on that would be. Like,
the first,
you
would start. No, you start with social transition. You don't start with medications.
Right. Yeah.
No, wait a second. I'm hoping. No, hold on, Yehuda. I want to go back to something you said. I hope that's not true. But you presented it as if you heard directly from somebody that had experienced it. Which one is it? Because that's a little confusing to me.
As proof. I'm not saying it as proof. I'm just asking his opinion on it, on whether he thinks something like that should happen. I'm not saying that story is true. I doubt it is. I hope it's not.
No, that's not.
I hope it is.
That's not what you said. And, I'm sorry, but Yehuda, that's not what you said. You said that you knew of this happening. But then you were like, I hope that's not true. I said I couldn't verify it. Like, those are...
I said I couldn't verify it.
Then why are you fucking mentioning it? It's just like being on the... Well, yeah, that too. Like, it's just like being on the shitter and you see something from Fox News about how kids are starting to piss in fucking cat boxes, litter boxes in school. And then you come onto this show and you're like, oh, well, in this school, they're allowing kids to dress up as cats and piss in litter boxes. Yeah. And then you just look like an ignorant motherfucker is all you look like.
Yeah.
Huh?
That's also a little crazy, but no, I'm not saying that.
No, it wasn't true.
I couldn't verify that.
That wasn't true. That's propaganda.
It was from an independent news source. It was not from Fox News.
An independent news source. What was it? The DailyEagleFuck.com? Like what? Or was it an actual news source?
I can't recall. I can't recall.
Yeah,
but
so it's bullshit is what it is.
And I'm not going to bring it as proof that it happened.
By the way, Lux, if you can hear me, I told Billy in the chat to call in, and they said they would. If we have a line open, that would be awesome. I'm just going to read you this. This is from back in 2022. This is from the American Medical Association. Every major medical association recognizes the vital role of gender-affirming care in improving the physical health and mental well-being of transgender individuals. Widely accepted standards of care and clinical guidelines recommend a staged process for transgender minors that enable young people to explore and live the gender that they choose while keeping their options open. Studies have consistently demonstrated that providing gender-affirming care that is both age-appropriate and evidence-based leads to improved mental health outcomes. Conversely, denying such care is associated with greater incidence of anxiety, depression, and self-harm. And they go on and on and on. For these reasons, it is imperative that transgender minors be allowed to explore their gender identity under the safe and supportive care of a physician. And they go on and on about how that works. So no one is having a child walk into a doctor's office and say, nah, I'm going to be a different gender today. And they go, okay, here's drugs. Nobody does that. We're talking about a staged, slow, evidence-based, data-driven process that is age-appropriate and effective. And if you think that you start transition with surgery, hormones, drugs, whatever, brother, you've been fooled.
I hear. Okay. I didn't know if it actually was happening.
It's
but
not.
I just
If
really
it
want to
sounds
hear
like
your
bullshit, it's
opinion,
probably
what you heard
bullshit.
about that.
And if your
Right,
kid comes
yeah,
to you and
it's too good to
tells
be
you,
true.
"Hey, I'm having these feelings, and I trust you enough to talk about it," and your response is, "You don't really feel that way. You need to give us some time and think about it some more," they're never going to trust you with fucking anything ever again. I don't know about you, Yehuda, but I've been awake for my entire life. I've known what was going on, and I can't think of a single time. I can remember back when I was 5 years old, I knew who I was at that time. I knew about myself. I didn't know what I wanted to be. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I didn't know what kind of college I wanted to go to. I didn't know what I wanted for dinner sometimes, but I knew who I was as a person. And these children that we're talking about here, hypothetical children or real children, they know who they are too. And if they come to you and trust you to tell you who they are and trust you to be in charge of them and their care, you need to take that more seriously than just saying, "I don't know, I read on some independent news source they might just throw a bunch of drugs at you. We're not going to do that." You need to take them to a doctor, a therapist, and take them seriously when they tell you about
Yeah, like
themselves.
I said.
And if their gender identity is consistent, insistent, and persistent, then that's who they are.
Right. I would never. I would. Like I said, a therapist would be a good option. One of those options that I would consider if that ever did happen. I would never say that I would deny him that. But I hear you. All right.
Yeah.
I have one more question, but I think I took up long enough time. So, if you guys want to
We got
end it here,
we got one more call, and it's about this same topic, so we're going to jump over there. Thank you for your call, Yehuda.
No problem.
Take care. Our
Bye-bye.
last call is Billy, who did actually call in. Usually people in the chat who say things never do. Billy, props to you for calling in. How are you today?
Pretty good, Forrest. How you doing? How you doing, John?
I'm all right.
Hey,
All right.
Billy.
Hey, what's up?
Okay. So specifically, you said something in chat where you're talking about how you agree with the last caller when it comes to children specifically. I wanted you to elaborate on that. What other situations would you say, listen, American Medical Association, they're all biased. They don't know what they're talking about. I think we should do this with your medical care.
Yeah, no, I don't think I ever said that or think that they're all biased. But I think when it comes to
you
children,
said something about make sure
I
you
think
don't
it's-
go to a biased doctor.
Oh, yeah. So you know how there's doctors. You can find a doctor that will pretty much agree with almost anything you want, right? If I wanted to find weed, a prescription for weed, I can find a doctor for that. If I want to find any kind of a doctor, you're going to find a doctor out there that's going to do what you want to do, right? So that's what I meant by biased. So I'm talking just a neutral doctor, not a gender affirming doctor or anything like that. And get an opinion, get a second opinion,
the gender
maybe even a third
affirming
opinion.
shit, right?
Yeah, so that's the problem, is
What's
that
that?
you're painting the standard position, the accept, like what every major medical association accepts as reality. You're treating that as the biased position. The neutral doctor would be the gender affirming one.
So you're basically saying that every single doctor out there would agree with your position. Because
No,
that's the
I'm saying every
prevailing
major medical association. As I read earlier on that statement from the AMA, every major medical association, I'm going to read it again directly here. Where is that thing that I just had? Here it is. This is directly from he's no longer the president, but at the time was the president of the AMA. Every major medical association recognizes the vital role of gender-affirming care in improving the physical health and mental well-being of transgender individuals. That is a direct statement from the American Medical Association. I can tell you in biomed school, that is the academic standard. We just know that sex and gender are different things. We understand trans people. We understand gender-affirming care. It's cool. It's not a big deal. So if you're the schools where they are training new doctors and the largest medical association in the country and every other major medical association in the country all has this same position, then that is the academic consensus in that field. And if you find a doctor who says something outside of that, You can. I've met some doctors that don't think that's real. I have had an argument with a doctor who said the AMA and the World Health Organization are just puppets for the woke left and all this shit, and that dude's a fucking loser. That person is biased. Yeah, that person is biased. The doctor who says, listen, the academic standard in my field is what we're going to go by, that person is not biased.
Okay, so question for you is, does it say anything about age at all?
Yes.
Does it say for or against?
I will read this.
Okay, what was...
Yeah. So let me read just this same part again, because I think this is the most important part. This is the whole thing. I'll actually put this entire thing in the chat so everybody can read through the entire document. I'm just reading down towards the end here under the importance of gender-affirming care. This is what they say about age. They talk about minors specifically. Okay. Widely accepted standards of care and clinical guidelines recommend a staged process for transgender minors that enable young people to explore and live the gender that they choose while keeping options open. Studies have consistently demonstrated that providing gender-affirming care that is both age-appropriate and evidence-based leads to improved mental health outcomes. Conversely, denying such care is linked to greater incidences of anxiety, depression, and self-harm. For these and other reasons, it is imperative that transgender minors be allowed to explore their gender identity under the safe and supportive care of a physician. So they are talking about young people, and they're talking about giving them safe, staged, evidence-based, slow care.
So one little piece that popped out to me was age specific. And do they clarify what that means? We already said minors, but in there you said age specific. What does that mean? Age specific.
In this document, they don't go into that. Yeah, in this particular press release, they don't. But I can guarantee you that it's not like surgeries for 4-year-olds. We're talking. In fact, if I remember correctly,
what I'm getting at.
Yeah, well, nobody wants that. Nobody thinks that's a good idea. So usually, what they're talking about is we're talking about social transition early on. So change your clothes, change your hair, change your name, change these things that are easy to change and reverse, right?
Yeah.
Maybe a little later on, we're talking about puberty blockers to give you a little bit of time to really make sure about this concept and understand what you're doing before you go through the puberty of the sex that you don't want to, and you want to maybe talk about hormone replacement therapy. We can get into that situation we're talking about. And also, it's important to remember, puberty blockers are most commonly used for cisgender children who go through precocious puberty, who get puberty at like 8. And we give them puberty blockers so that they don't go through puberty for a little while until it's about time, a normal time for them to do so.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Pardon me. You had something to say.
Yeah. So I work in the sciences too. I'm a scientist, so I work every day with data. I don't say things that
what kind of science
aren't
do you
backed
do?
up by data. Biotechnology.
Okay.
So I'm in the biosciences. Yeah. I work in clinical trials. So daily I'm basing everything right off of data, evidence, things like that. And one thing with that is, everything has to be very well defined and clear. And so when it's open for interpretation, for example, when we say, well, it's not really defined what age, you're going to find a population out there that's going to say, oh, okay, 5 years old, 4 years old. We don't think it would be that way, but there's going to be people out there that say that. So you got to get really specific and say, hey, by X amount of age, maybe they go in, maybe they get tested for, where are they at with their puberty, because everyone's different on that. And so, there's going to be some type of protocol there, right? Not just like a general statement. And I think that's one of my concerns, or one of my pieces I have with it. People are going to interpret that.
What I was reading to you there was not like an actual standardized guideline for gender affirming care for minors. I was just reading you a statement from the American Medical Association. I just quickly looked, and yeah, you can find these guidelines online. I know Jovan has some stuff posted somewhere where you can actually really dig into that, but like you can just Google like standards of care for gender affirming care for minors and find some detailed breakdowns of that if that's what you're looking for. But at the end of the day,
Yeah.
you can find somebody who says whatever. Like, that's always the case. And you and I, if you're in biotech, you know doctor shopping exists. And yes, you can find people on extremes of these things. That's always going to be the case. We're talking about the actual academic standard here and what the actual what is being taught to doctors and what should be done.
Yeah.
And what we're finding is that what actually happens is if we're talking about surgery, that is a very rare thing, usually only top surgery. And again, that is more commonly done on cisgender people than transgender people. There's a ton.
Therapy.
Hormone therapy is also reversible, or at least correctable a little bit. But top surgery is done a lot on cisgender girls. Breast augmentation for girls under the age of 18 gets signed off on their parents, and they want to make their boobs bigger because that is also gender affirming care that is done for cisgender girls. Sure. And I have yet to ever hear a single person who's grumpy about transing the kids ever talk about it. But that happens more commonly.
Right.
So every single bit of gender affirming care is more commonly used for except for sex reassignment surgery, I would say, except for that one. Every other thing besides sex reassignment surgery is more commonly used for cisgender people, and that includes for minors as well.
Yeah. Well, and you have gynecomastia surgery, right, for males.
Yes,
and that's a gender affirming care, actually.
Absolutely,
so,
way more common.
So I hear what you're saying. Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. I think maybe it might be best to research a little bit into it. And like I said, at this moment, I disagree with it, but, I'm always open to change my mind, which sounds like, I need to do a little bit more research, but yeah.
It sounds like I think you should. It sounds like you disagree with a straw man of it. It sounds like you disagree with this blown up thing that isn't real. And what the first question I asked you is there any other time when you would say, listen, hey, every major medical association in the world, in the country, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. We're going to do something different. And I was being hyperbolic with that. I know I was being facetious, but that is what we're doing here. That's what I'm trying to get across to you here is there is an evidence-based, data-driven standard of care for minors that is accepted by the American, by the medical establishment in this country. And you're saying, well, I don't accept it without fully understanding it, is all I'm saying.
No, I do. No, if that's the case, then that's I'm one that needs to see the evidence. I'd like to look at it, see it for myself. But if that's the consensus within the medical community, obviously there's been some peer reviews, and obviously I'm not going to go against that. So,
yeah, I'm trying to find a thing that actually has. Here's. So yeah, here's the thing. I'm just going to put in. We mentioned hormones for a second. I'm putting a thing in the chat right now. This is a link from the Endocrine Society about exactly what we're talking about today. This is gender dysphoria and gender incongruence guideline resources. And if you scroll down on this page a little bit, they actually have a summary of the recommendations. So you can click on go past evaluation down to treatment, and it talks about. We suggest that clinicians begin pubertal hormonal suppression after girls and boys first exhibit physical changes at puberty. So that gives you an actual specific intervention and a specific time to do it, right? We recommend that where indicated, GnRH analogs, this is a gonadotropin releasing hormone, so it's specifically affecting puberty, are used to suppress pubertal hormone. So it's talking about the exact kind of treatment being used now. And it goes on and on and on from this. And it's kind of, it's stretching it's making me refresh my memory of fucking endocrinology right now. I'm surprised I remembered what GnRH stands for. But you can go through this. This is just one thing, but I recommend looking up more things like this that actually have those standards that you're looking for. Like I said, Jovan Bradley, I think, has those resources on lock and can probably provide them way easier and more quickly than I can.
Yeah, cool, man. That's what I'm looking for. Something that's very specific protocol there. So, I think that is what really needs to back up I think the other thing is, maybe just educating people that these things exist, because hell, if I didn't know, I'm sure there's a lot of people
we're trying
out there that just don't know. What's that?
I said, oh, girl, we're trying. That's what these shows are for.
I know. I hear you, man. But, it's just, there's a lot of education needs to go out there. No, listen, I really appreciate it, Forrest. This is good stuff. I'm going to research it. Like I said, my mind's always open to changing my mind. All right. So
that makes you a good scientist.
I try.
All right. Take care, Billy.
All right, my friend. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Billy.
Massive fucking props to Billy, not only for actually calling, but actually listening as well and saying, hey, I'm going to look into this more. I'm going to find out what's up. You don't have to say I'm right, but the fact that you're going out there and you're going to dig into it, and the fact that you actually had the cojones to call in and talk about it, massive props. I think that actually was the last call.
Yes, it was. You announcing it, though, I think is the thing that really solidifies it there. Right. Every time I do it, we end up getting another call, and I need to go to bed.
Yep. Yeah, I'm dying. I'm so fucking hungry. I ate this plate of food, and I'm needing like 50 more. I'm exhausted. You have anything else you want to say before we send ourselves off to the realm of fucking off?
Nope. Everybody, if you want to learn how to study the Bible more or better, go to gebible.app. That's the thing that I'm currently kind of pushing. Also Rocket City Reason. We're coming up, next, or not next month, but in October. Forrest is going to be giving a presentation. We're kind of just letting him sort of like do whatever in the fuck. So you're going to have to actually come to Rocket City Reason to see what in the fuck he comes up with.
I've got 12 spots left. Oh my glob. Let me see here. I've got 12 spots left on my upcoming trip to Peru. So I'm going to put that in the chat if you guys want to go with me to Peru next June 2nd through the 9th. I'm taking 2 groups up and around Machu Picchu to learn some stuff about ancient cultures and also llamas, I guess. Group 1 is totally sold out. But group 2 has 12 spots left, so if you want to get on that, I am extremely anemic, and we're climbing upstairs in the mountains. I am going to die. And if you want to watch that happen, secure your spot today, because the trip is confirmed, and we only have 12 spots left on that, so go do that if you want to go do that, or don't. I'm not a cop. With that, thanks so much for calling in, everybody. Thanks so much to John for being an amazing co-host and an amazing friend. Thank you so much to Lux for being a great producer and call screener. Thank you so much to our mods in chat for keeping things civil and safe. Thank you so much to the people in chat for even the ones that suck. Thank you so much to our callers, even the ones that suck. Thank you to my amazing, beautiful wife for bringing me this wonderful food. Look at this fucking okra. It's so fucking good. Fuck ICE, trans rights, human rights, free Palestine. Have an awesome rest of your day and never stop learning. Bye.